One, two, three, four, five.
Welcome to the Top 5 Gaming Podcast. This would be episode 4, I believe.
Hey,
I'm Austin, and with me is my co-host.
cohort.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Casey. I got a joke for you. No, I actually do have a joke for you.
What's the joke, Casey?
Okay, it's a knock-knock joke.
Okay, knock knock.
But I need you to start it.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Johnny.
Johnny who?
Johnny Two Shoes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that joke of like, okay, I have a legit knock-knock joke, but I need you to start it. Okay, knock-knock. Who's there?
And then I have to somehow come up with something. Great. I'm glad we could subject everybody to that.
Look, man, we're not we this is why we're entertaining, because we are bad at it.
Yeah. So, I guess episode 2 we had a special guest, and that was Ben. And I would like to feature him more in these podcasts. But for this topic that we're doing today, it doesn't seem right that he'd join us, because our topic for today is the top 5 and bottom 5 games for the Wii U, or of course, in our own opinions. And Ben doesn't really own a Wii U.
Yes, and why are we doing this particular topic?
It's the end of the Wii U's life cycle. The Switch is coming out next month.
Indeed.
I'm super excited for that Switch thing. I'm not going to get it when it comes out, but I am really excited for it. Both of us are probably going to be playing Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, so that's not going to be included because the game isn't out yet and neither of us has touched it. I think we're both pretty positively looking forward to it, but yeah, it won't be featured on either of our lists.
It's also, I'm not positively looking forward to it either.
Really? I am. I think it's going to be good.
I think it'll be alright.
Yeah. Well, Casey, you want to get us started off with your bottom number 5?
Well, hold on. Since this is sort of a memorial / hazing of the Wii U, why don't you give us a little, history of your time with the console?
I don't remember how long I've had it. I had it, I guess, I think it was after a year or two of it being out.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have that many games. I filled out probably most of the games that I played on the Wii U in my top and bottom 5 list. So there are some games in my bottom 5 that I think are actually pretty good games, but under some, circumstances. And there are some games that should have been in my bottom 5, but I just didn't play them, like games that were reviewed really, really poorly and didn't have a good reception for the Wii U. I just never played, so I couldn't even include them in my bottom 5.
Well, and you know what? Fair warning to the readers, Austin and I have enough of a mental faculty capacity to know what to not buy for the Wii U.
Yeah.
So don't expect to see like Star Fox Zero on either of our lists, because we never played it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure it would richly deserve to be on the list, it's just not going to be mentioned.
Yeah. And Casey, how about your time with the Wii U?
Let's see. I got it the Christmas after you got it. Because I know you got it like middle of the year or something. I got it the Christmas after.
Yeah.
After you wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah, I put a lot of pressure on Casey.
Hassling me.
But we did have some good times with the thing.
We did have some good times with the thing. And, I do think that there's a good amount of quality software for the Wii U.
Yeah.
And
I think that, it was probably the best console for me to own of, I guess, last generation, because I'm primarily a PC guy, playing games on the PC, and there's very little to almost no overlap between the Wii U's available games and the PCs.
Yeah. See, that's the like, a lot of people talk negatively about Nintendo as being the manufacturer of the second tier console, the one that you get to bolster one of the other ones you already have.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, and I think that they do have an outward position, like their Xbox and PlayStation are trying to do the same thing, or that's how it seems to me. They're coming out with, I mean, like some different kinds of games. Like they'll specialize, like Xbox might specialize in shooters, and then PlayStation might specialize more in RPGs. But the Nintendo has like put itself on like a different kind of ball game than the rest of
For better or worse.
yeah, yeah. And I think that they're going to continue doing that with the Switch. I mean, the Switch is underpowered compared to the PS4 and Xbox One, from what we know.
I love how that is what a lot of people have a problem with.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the games for me, like, and the way that the console feels in my hand. Like, if you have good games, and the console feels good, then not much else can bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Casey, can you give us your number 5 bottom game for the Wii U?
Oh, I just remembered. I just want to say one other thing real quick.
God damn it, Casey.
Whatever. I just want to say one other thing real quick.
Uh-huh.
I am confident that I know 4 of your top 5 Wii U games.
4 of my top 5?
Yep. I think I know what 4 of your top 5 Wii U games are going to be.
Okay, you're probably right on that.
And I think I know what 2 of your bottom 5 are going to be.
Yeah, you probably get those 2. You'll probably get more than 2.
We'll see.
I don't think we're gonna have as much overlap as we were thinking. I think we're gonna have maybe like 2 games in the top that are gonna overlap, and 2 games in the bottom 5 are gonna overlap. That's my prediction.
Well, I don't know what position these 4 that I know will be in your top are, but I know that they'll be in there. I feel it.
Yeah.
How many do you think you know of mine?
I'm not sure, Casey. I just know the ones that we're gonna have similarities.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna have 2 in both sections that are gonna be the same.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'll get this party started. You said you wanted to do the bottom one first?
Let's interlace them.
Yeah, but we're starting with the bottom?
Start with the bottom.
Okay. Let's piss off some people. My number 5 worst Wii U game is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
But Casey, it was reviewed so well. It has like, I don't know, pretty much everybody gave it a 9 out of 10 or the equivalent.
Of course they did, because they're nostalgia blind and they just fucking love the idea of retro returning to Rare's graces and making a Donkey Kong game.
Okay. I'm starting to see where you're coming from, Casey. So give everybody an overview of what this game is.
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a 2D platformer similar to many of the other Donkey Kong Country games, kind of like Mario, but more emphasis on jumping, amazingly enough, and a lot more emphasis on secrets, such as finding hidden collectibles and the like.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
The biggest selling points about the Donkey Kong Country Returns franchise, which would include the one for the Wii and Tropical Freeze, is that, well, pretty much there's a lot more emphasis on just the level design itself in terms of what goes on in the background of the levels.
Okay. So stuff that you're not interacting with.
Yeah, well, because, I mean, a lot of people, if you ever go back and look at a lot of the comments on, like, impressions for the game and all that, it's always like, the amount of detail going on behind or in the background while I'm playing is amazing. I can see, like, fish doing things, and even things in the background that'll influence the foreground happen.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things that puts this so low on the list for me, is there's a lot of emphasis on stuff going on that you don't interact with, that's going on in the background.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, when you're playing a game, especially a 2D precision platformer, your eyes are mostly fixated on your character that you're playing as. You are not focusing on the background that much unless you're either not doing a lot or you're just dicking around.
Yeah, dude, I'm like tunnel vision with those kinds of games. I never even noticed the background, really. So it wouldn't do any good for me how much, if they, painted the equivalent of the Mona Lisa behind me when I was jumping on some enemies, It wouldn't matter.
That'd be an interesting idea for a level right there, is like the Mona Lisa being painted as you have to platform onto the strokes.
Yeah. I played a little bit of this game. I think at your place, and I'm not good at Donkey Kong Country games. I'm kind of bad at them. I think that in general much harder than Mario games, or at least like they start out much harder. So Mario games usually start out like really really easy, and then they'll get pretty hard. But
Yeah.
I think that Donkey Kong Country just starts out harder, and I think it ends up being harder throughout the whole game usually. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to say, and this goes back to what you were saying about even our bottom five Wii U games probably don't necessarily deserve to be in a bottom five.
Mm-hmm.
Like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a perfectly serviceable game. It's a decent platformer.
Yeah.
It's just kind of marred by the fact that a lot of it just blurs together in my mind,
Yeah.
and that it really doesn't do anything different from previous entries in the series.
Yeah, there have been a bunch of 2D platforming games like coming out in the indie scene, not only that, but as well as from Nintendo. I mean, there's just a bunch of them. When I think on the Wii U, you should probably start focusing on some stuff that makes it unique, or like I don't know. The entire game felt like it could have been on the 3DS and it wouldn't have lost anything other than that stupid graphical fidelity that you're not interacting with.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, dude, do you remember the reveal for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze? Probably not.
Not really.
Like, they spent, no joke, like 30 seconds detailing or highlighting the fact that you could see all the hairs on Donkey Kong. And it was a zoomed in image. Like, no fucking shit, you could see all of them.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter when you're jumping around on enemies that you can see them. And the
No.
detail gets, like, I mean, that detail's neat for a total of 10 seconds. But
Yeah.
you're going to play the game for, what would you say that you put, how many hours into that game did you put?
Well, and another piece of credit to the game, it is a lengthy one, because I put about 30 hours into it.
And you were pretty completionist about this, I believe, right?
Yes, the only thing I didn't do were the time trials, because fuck the time trials on these Donkey Kong games.
Yeah, they're hard. I
They
mean,
are
the level's
obnoxious.
enough are, hard enough.
God, the Wii one, holy shit. Because on top of having to have excellent like speed running, you also have to wrestle with the fact that your controls may fail you half the time.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I see what you're saying about this game.
Yeah, good, decent game. Was not one of the things I think the Wii U needed in its time of need.
Yeah. So it's not a bad game, but you played it and it's in your bottom five.
Yeah, the if anything, it just deserves to be in like overrated category rather than like bad category.
For my number five worst game on the Wii U, I have a similar game. I mean, a similar situation where the game is, I think, a good game by normal standards, um, but it wasn't what I wanted, and
I'm running through
that's
every game I know you've played, and I'm trying to piece it together before you say
yeah.
it.
Part of it was that I just wanted to have this on the list and talk about it. And the game's Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh damn! I did not think that would make the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, it made the bottom. I played the whole game, and Xenoblade was I think it was it was a decent game, but it's not what I wanted, especially after playing Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
I was super excited to play Xenoblade after you had me play it at your place, and I got to. Well, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there's like this really epic moment in the story, kind of early on, that you think is pretty ballsy when you're playing it. And I was like,
Yep.
wow, I wouldn't expect that from a JRPG. And the game really does. Xenoblade One really does deliver with an excellent story. And I think that it has one of the best endings of any RPG that I've played, and the game
Yeah, it
mechanics are
does.
pretty good.
Yeah.
So like, I didn't necessarily expect a game as good as Xenoblade 1 when Chronicles X came out, but I was expecting a game that would hold my attention with a good story, and that it'd be good mechanically. I think that the game had like really, really good game feel. Xenoblade Chronicles X is what I'm talking about now. So
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a carbon copy of Xenoblade in terms of gameplay, so
yeah. The I thought that the fighting, I liked the fighting system. It can get repetitive after a while, but I thought it was good for what it was. I liked the skells, the way that like just the inclusion of them. It was pretty cool that you'd get them and that you could fly with them, and it was a neat open world version of Xenoblade.
beautiful looking game.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. There was like you could jump really high, and that just made traversal fun, and you could sprint in the game, so you could go like explore a whole bunch kind of quickly. Um,
Yep.
and like you said, I thought that the world was really cool. Like you enter into the game, and then you see like these gigantic creatures that you wouldn't want to fight. And then like some smaller creatures, and then there's a whole bunch of different alien races. And I thought that the concept for the story was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Just in the very very beginning, the idea that humanity like is pretty much destroyed, and you have to rebuild from scratch, kind of stuff.
yeah.
And I was excited about the actual rebuilding part of the story, and that just didn't come through for me. As well as I thought that the characters were pretty much all weak, one-dimensional character caricatures, and they didn't have anything interesting to say. I didn't think that the story was particularly interesting, other than the concept of the story.
It
Everything
still
just kind of
stuns
felt
me that
flat.
it still stuns me that in a game about like all these different alien races congregating together,
Hmm.
you only play as either humans or one other alien.
Yeah, when there were a bunch of other aliens.
Yeah, and it's not like they were lazy when it came to fleshing out these other species because I mean, you got like these technocratic bug people. You got a warring like barbarian race that wars with that conflicts amongst different clans. You got the little tiny like machine heavy midget people that sound like Alvin the Chipmunk.
Yeah, I would have loved to see more interaction with more alien races and more that could have possibly been in your party, and then maybe more of a factioning system, or like if you talked and helped out a certain race more, then they'd have a bigger presence in your home city or something like that. Like nothing really changed or had like felt like it had any impact when you did any of the stories. It just felt like it was doing a task because it was there, really.
Yeah.
And another weak point to Xenoblade Chronicles X was I thought it had a half-assed online system. Like we could play together, and we were super excited about playing together. It took us forever to even figure out how to make it work. But then when we made it work, all that we could do were like these little tiny quests together, and that wasn't a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was like instances in a lot of MOBA games.
Yeah. And then you could like upload your character profile to the online system, and people could like use your character to help do some quests or something like that. Or I don't know. I didn't even get into that because that wasn't interesting. I was interested in playing with other people.
Yeah. I agree with all your criticisms, and it's amazing it wasn't like this was an instantly like or disappointing game because we were both pretty excited about it for like the first quarter of it, but then it just started gradually going downhill.
Yeah, all that I could see when I was playing in the beginning was like the potential for it, like the potential
Yeah.
for interesting things to happen, and then like the really cool world, and just figuring out what was going on with it. And then when you realize that there wasn't really much of anything going on with it, and that none of your interactions with it mattered that much, it
Yeah.
it didn't. I don't know. It didn't hold that captive attention that it did in the beginning.
The funny thing about Chronicles X and its comparison to the original Xenoblade Chronicles is that it kind of shows how important story can be in a game because when you think about it from a gameplay perspective, Chronicles X is mostly just Xenoblade in terms of gameplay, but
Yeah,
lacking in a story to help you forgive a lot of the weaker aspects of the gameplay.
yeah, yeah,
Because Chronicles X has the same like litter picking side quests of just roaming around the nation trying to find these little glowing blue orbs
yeah,
that are apparently things that you need.
yeah. And they're
Got
like
this,
random.
Yeah, it's got the same combat mostly. It's got the same like game feel to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty. It's like it's just funny to me how we love Xenoblade Chronicles so much, even though it shares a lot of the issues that X has, only not to such a large degree, and a lot of those issues are obscured by the fact that we were enamored with the characters and the story.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said before, I don't think X was a bad game because of most of the elements that carried on from Xenoblade One. It's just
Yeah.
that when you hold it up to the first game, it's bad. I mean, it wouldn't be bad if it was just by another name and another company with like, this is a new kind of concept, and I came at it with fresh eyes. I might have liked it more, but that
Yeah.
it held the Xenoblade name, and then that gave me certain expectations about what I'd experience.
Well, the other thing is Xenoblade Chronicles came out on Wii, and it was pretty much a masterpiece in what could be done with the Wii at optimized levels.
Yeah,
Just because of how much it crammed into a fucking Wii game. I'll remind you,
yeah.
which is GameCube 2.5, I believe. No, it's GameCube. No, it's game. What they once called they once called the Wii two GameCubes taped together.
I've never heard that before.
No, that's what they how they once described the overall power of the Wii.
Oh, okay, okay, I see.
But
Yeah,
my
that's
point
pretty
is,
weak.
like, they managed to cram such a large and impressive game like Xenoblade into the Wii, and then you look at the Wii U version, and it's like, yeah, it's still large and it's got a lot of cool details in it, but it's kind of it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like the system was used to its best for this game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's about all that I have to say about X. Do you have anything else?
I do have one question. Do you think part of the issue could have been the how can I put it, the delay fatigue, like how many times we saw trailers for this thing from when it was first announced to when it was finally released? Because I'm pretty sure that we knew of its existence for at least 2 years
Yeah,
before it finally came out.
maybe a little bit of it, because I did have a strong hype for it, especially after I played Xenoblade. So like, Xenoblade Chronicles X was announced before I played like fully Xenoblade. Um, so it was partly that I knew another one was coming and that the first one was so good that I was like really, really hyped for the game. But I don't
Yeah,
know how much that affected my disappointment in that like the beginning of the game, I was like I felt satisfied with the hypeness.
yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean I know what you mean. It's just interesting how
Yeah.
when it finally came out, I knew I was just like, thank God this is out, so people can stop talking about it.
Yeah, I think I would have still disliked all of the elements that I mentioned earlier if they had like did a surprise release or something like that.
How much better would the game have been if Alma hadn't been in
Way
it?
better. Or just a different voice actress or
Yeah,
concept for the character or anything. Like all of her lines were delivered incredibly flatly and they were written pretty flatly too.
yeah. She's that. It's that kind of character where it's just like a hard ass woman, and it's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it for my bottom number five. KC, what
All
was
right,
your number five top Wii U game?
top five of the Wii U games is. I can't. I can't. Austin, do some drums.
Badum cha.
My God. Top number five, 1001 Spikes.
1001 Spikes.
Yes. Do you remember
I
that game?
vaguely remember you talking about this game.
You also saw me play it quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Can you explain it to me again and to everybody listening?
Yes. The key concept is that it is a standard 2D pixely platformer game. You end up exploring a series of temples, uh, and the main concept is that you start with 1,001 lives, and every level in this game is fucking hard, and it will kill you in any way it can. You will have knives thrown at you from or you'll have dart shooters shooting at you. You'll fall down endless pits. Blocks will fall on you. Blocks will fall from under you. Tons of things that can kill you, and you pretty much just have to, how do I put it, get good at each level, and you pretty much just have to keep plugging away at it, get better at the platforming, get better at predicting what's going to happen, and it's just straight up good old-fashioned 2D platforming prowess challenge.
That's awesome. So the other game that you mentioned already in this podcast was also a platformer, but you didn't like it. Would you say that you liked this platformer because it had like a more like focused gaming concept? Like, this game is hard and challenging, and you have to learn how to deal with it, and you have 1,001 lives. Like,
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And it's just because it's so much cleaner. It's so much more focused and tightly designed. There's not a lot of bullshit to watch in the background or anything like that. It's just straight up, like, you'll start a level and they'll briefly show you what it's about, and you'll see like knives flying across the screen or like timed spike traps or something, and you instantly just start processing in your head like, okay, what do I got to do, and how efficiently do I got to do it to get to the next part of this safe?
yeah, yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's one of those games, like, remember in our first podcast when we talked about that feeling of like, give one more round, just let me try one more time.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, 1001 Spikes has that, but it also has a feeling of just one more level. Like, you beat the level, and it's like 1 a.m., and you should be going to bed, but there's just like one more level before you get to like the next area. So you do that, and then it's like, but now you're in the next area. Do one more level. Do one more level. Do it again, again, again.
How does the game feel? Like, certain 2D platformers can be described as like floaty or fast, or I don't know. Would
I
you?
would say the game feels very close to Mario, minus a lot of the momentum.
Okay, okay.
Like, you know how Mario goes to a gradual slow when you stop running?
Yeah, it's
Like,
more instant in this game.
yeah, but I mean, it's a little bit floaty with the jumps, but in a good way, because you kind of get a little extra time in the air to plan where you're going to land.
Yeah.
I have no complaints with the controls of the game at all.
That's awesome.
And the one other thing I want to say about this game, because I plugged a lot of hours into it, because after you beat the main story, you then unlock like another world part of it to play.
Yeah.
You also can unlock characters, and I'm talking like 20 different characters you can play as in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you might look at a lot of these characters and think that it's mostly just cosmetic changes. No, every character has like a different set of, or at least a relatively different set of like physics and rules to learn.
That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah,
kind of like
that
Meat
kept-
Boy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, one character can take multiple hits. One character can float jump. One character has a stronger attack versus another, and it's just like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even though you still play the exact same levels, like, I played all the levels with every single character, and it still felt fresh because every character handles differently in ways that sometimes make it better and sometimes make it way harder.
Yeah.
I love 1001 Spikes.
That's awesome. That's a good number 5, Casey. I didn't think you'd put that up there.
Yeah. Now let's see if I think I know what your number 5 is going to be.
Yeah, maybe. You might not have. I'm sure you've gotten at least 4 of my top games. But you
I will
might
be
have
very
messed up the
surprised if
order.
This isn't.
So my number 5 top game on the Wii U is Mario 3D World.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Did you think that that would be much more high?
First of all, I didn't think that was going to be in there.
Really? Oh, okay. I thought that that would have been an obvious one.
Well, I mean, I know that you've spoken positively about it before,
Mm-hmm.
but you always like have little caveats that go with your positive speaking, which make me think like, oh yeah, I mean, he liked it, but it's not going to be in a
Yeah.
top 5 or anything.
Okay, I think it was a good game. Let me talk about some of the positives before I go into the negatives. And so Mario 3D World is a 3D Mario platformer. And the concept for the game was that you had like kind of smaller, discrete levels as opposed to the bigger levels that happened in Mario 64 or Sunshine. It was
Yeah, it's like 3D Land for 3DS, but
Yeah.
just slightly larger scale.
Yeah. And I think that the game felt good. I mean, like, you would expect that from a Nintendo Mario game. Like, all of their Mario games have always felt really good. I didn't
Except
like.
3D Land.
Yeah, yeah. They one of the problems with 3D Land, which came out on the 3DS, was like there were like these imposed like weird 3D sections. And there was one thing that I didn't like about 3D World is that there were like these imposed 2D sections where you're in like a 3D world, but they change the camera view so that it looks like you're doing a 2D platformer, even though there still is that depth. I don't like when that happens because it makes me. I have trouble determining like my depth of field, like how far I am on the y-axis. Like getting away from the camera and coming towards the camera.
You're on the y-axis.
But one thing that I think Mario 3D World did excellent was the varied level design. Like they had a whole bunch of different concepts for their levels and like different ways that you get through the levels. And I think usually Mario games do a good job with this, but I think that Mario 3D World was particularly varied, even for a Nintendo Mario game.
Yeah.
The game had like this awesome hard finale that Casey and I talked about for like ever when we were trying to do it. Like, how many hundreds of attempts did we put
Fucking
into this
King's
last
Road,
level?
Man. Fucking, I love that level.
Yeah.
It's
So punishingly hard, but yet you feel like it's fair, and
your balls with a 2x4 and you come back for more.
yeah, and like you learn a little bit every single time, and then you like get absolutely crazy good at timing like this ridiculous stuff.
See, you say that, but for me it was like that happened, and then I went through phases of like I just lost all my skill. I've been playing this so much I've become numbed.
Yeah. Other notable aspects about Mario 3D World is that it had pretty decent co-op. So a lot of Mario games co-op was like you take turns, like you'll play Mario, the other guy will play Luigi. You both go through the level independently and watch the other one while they do it. With Mario 3D World, you can both be playing at once and kind of interact with one another, like you can jump on people and all that. So I played a little bit of co-op with my cousin and a little bit of co-op with my wife for a little while. And that was.
You also did it with me for one level, and then you decided, no, I'm not doing this.
Oh yeah, I don't want to play co-op platformers with Casey. He's too good at them.
Thanks a lot.
He's too good at fucking with me.
That was not the issue.
Yeah.
That was not the issue. You just didn't want to play it again.
Yeah. Which goes into my next point. Most of the game is too easy, which was my problem with the game. So for any kind of like seasoned 3D platformer person, you're not going to have any kind of challenge other than trying to find some of the hidden gems until you reach like, I don't know, World 6 or something like that. Or after the first time you think the game's gonna end. Like, and even towards the end of the game, like I remember feeling at the end of the game, I was like, there's too many levels where I beat on my first try.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, until that ending end, the real end.
Yeah.
That one definitely wasn't a first try. But I think that's pretty much most of my points. Like, there were some new concepts that happened in 3D World. I didn't really care about the cat suit or any of the new stuff. It was just that the other recycled ideas paired really well with some of the new concepts. Like, you could play together, and I don't know. Like, I liked the short and discrete levels. They were pretty cool, but I'm looking forward to the return to larger levels where you have multiple objectives. That seems like what's going to be happening with Odyssey. That's going to be coming out.
Yeah. If I may play devil's advocate real quick on Super Mario 3D World.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do. Yeah, I do think that I do agree with a lot of what you said. You know, it's got a lot of stuff in it, and that's a little too easy and all that.
Yeah.
I would argue that, I mean, a good portion of a lot of its stuff is straight up recycled from earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Like, the last 3 worlds you go to are levels from earlier in the game, just made slightly harder.
I forgot about that. Was it Was it that there the act like there were new levels to go into that were the same as the old levels, or did they somehow make you go back to the old levels for some reason? I can't remember.
There were new levels to go into that were exact copies of old levels, but with a caveat to them, such as a time limit or something along those lines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. That is a pretty glaring weakness, I think. I mean, it had so much content that it's kind of neat to go back to something else that you've done and make it harder, but if they did a lot of that, I probably wasn't a fan. I just can't really remember.
Yeah, and also I'm really not fond of that game's map system.
Yeah, the map wasn't really interesting. There was like very few little hidden things about it. It was just a thing to do to get to the next world.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't like about a lot of the modern Mario's, like and not just 3D World, but 3D. Well, I don't know about 3D Land. I didn't play all that, but like 3D World and the new Super Mario Brothers games, they want so badly to emulate what we loved about previous like old school Mario games, but it just feels like a half-hearted ripoff in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like 3D World is supposed to be a kind of homage to Super Mario World, especially in terms of the map system, but it's supposed to be apparently a better map system because you can free roam through it.
Yeah, I don't think that much makes much of a difference if you don't put anything interesting in that free roaming area.
No, it doesn't, and you can't even choose what levels you want to go into in terms of order because it's not, you can only unlock like certain levels at a time.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, seriously, fuck those fucking toad houses. I'm sick of them. I hate them. They were good in Mario 3 because they were like your one salvo for getting good things, but now they're just like abundantly used and it's stupid.
Yeah, it's in an excess for a game that's really easy in the first place.
Yeah, you know that a game is too easy when you can max out the live counter to 999.
Yes, it is too easy.
Yeah. But I was just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, oh, I agree with everything that you're saying. I don't think that 3D World's a particularly good 3D Mario game in the context of 3D Mario games as a whole, but in the context of the Wii U's game library, I think is my top five.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
Casey, bottom number 4.
Bottom number 4, and I'm really sad that this is bottom number 3, but bottom number 4 is Pikmin 3.
Ooh, Casey. I wanted to like this game.
I did too. Oh god, did I. I was so excited when they showed the trailers for it. Like, it looked beautiful, the new Pikmin looked awesome to play with. I really liked the idea of having 3 playable characters that you could work with at a time. Like, they even showed off some cool puzzle-solving mechanics with 3 people that you couldn't do with 2.
Yeah.
I liked what the Wii U gamepad map added to it, or at least in terms of like how much easier it was to look at a map.
Yeah.
And I liked that you could give your partner, you could like essentially tell your other teammates where to go on the map just by poking at it.
That was pretty neat.
Yeah, all of that is great. It's just a shame that for a game that took, I think, around what, 8 years, 9 years to come out, it has less content. It barely goes toe to toe in terms of content with Pikmin 1,
Yeah.
let alone Pikmin 2. And Pikmin 2 came out like 5 years after Pikmin 1, and that game had at least 2.5 times the amount of stuff to do in it or find in it than Pikmin 1. Fast forward like 10 years later and 2 console generations later, and we get a game that's barely on par with Pikmin 1.
Yeah, I played a little bit of this game at your place once again, running theme.
Yeah.
And I thought that the game was okay. And you had me play this game after you had me beat both Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2. Or at least
Well, I mean, I didn't. I don't think I. I don't think I like specifically told you to do that. I think that's just how it.
yeah, that's just how it happened.
Okay.
And I didn't think from what I played that the game added much. I mean, like, there was just that new gimmick that you had another person and that you could send them to go to places with the gamepad, and you could do more in a certain time limit, and like you had more variables to contend with in your allotted time that you were allowed to be in the level.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think the game did that much. And from what I've heard, that there wasn't much content at all, so it just felt like, I don't know, maybe almost like an expansion to 2, but like a weak expansion to 2 where it just added a new character.
Yeah, and I can definitively say that in terms of like amount of content, Pikmin 3 has about 1/10 the amount of Pikmin 2.
Wow. That's great.
Like,
You're talking about like completionist kind of stuff?
um, in terms of enemy variety, Pikmin 2 has around 80 different enemy types. Pikmin 3 has maybe a fourth of that.
Wow.
In terms of stuff to find, Pikmin 2 had 200 items to collect. Pikmin 3 had maybe about an eighth of that.
Hmm.
In terms of power-ups, Pikmin 2 had like 12 power-ups. Pikmin 2 had maybe half of that.
Yeah.
It's just like it under-delivers compared to its predecessor in every way. And I mean, a lot of people will say that, or at least the argument Nintendo made was that Pikmin 3 is closer to Pikmin 1 than Pikmin 2,
Yeah.
which is fair. But the thing that I liked about Pikmin 1 was that it had a very real sense of urgency to it, what with the time limit.
Yeah.
Like, not only the time limit during the day, but the time limit for 30 days and then you're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been the running theme about Pikmin games until 3, was that there's a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And
I
the cool
agree.
thing is that both Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 convey that sense of urgency in different ways. In Pikmin 1, it's a time thing, you know?
Yes.
In Pikmin 2, it's how do I put it? It's a I guess quantity thing, because when you go into the caves, you don't get to restock on Pikmin. Like, every Pikmin you lose when you go into a cave in Pikmin 2 is one less of your army that you have to make it to all the way at the end of the cave with.
Yeah, and caves are these moments in the game where you can't go back to your ship and acquire other Pikmin. Like, you go in with what you have, and that's all you can do the whole cave with, so you have to be as efficient as you can, right? That's the gimmick with it. I believe
Yeah,
that
exactly.
started
And
in
that
2.
and that creates a different sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
But Pikmin 3 comes along and it tries to replicate Pikmin 1's sense of urgency and the main gimmick of Pikmin 3 is that you crash land on this planet and you are low on food supplies. So what you need to do is gather food supplies, which you consume every day. So you need to make sure that you're gathering more than you consume daily,
Yeah.
which is a neat idea for a sense of urgency, and I liked that, because it made like you are literally fighting to survive, right?
Yeah, I like that too.
Problem is that the game botches it up because it is stupidly easy to have to be oversupplied on food.
So you lose that sense of urgency.
Yeah, by the halfway point in the game, I was so like I had about 30 days worth of food.
Yeah.
I could have dicked around for 20 days and not worried about it all.
Wow.
And the weird thing is, and put a big spoiler on it. I mean, do you not want me to talk about a twist in it?
Yeah, probably avoid spoilers, or you can talk about the the affect of the spoiler, or how it made you feel and all that, but try and
Well,
avoid it if you can.
there's a thing halfway through the game where they try and regain that sense of urgency,
Yeah.
but they utterly fail because it's still too easy to just get enough food.
Yeah, I got you.
So overall, Pikmin 3, I mean, oh, and incidentally, whoever came up with the controls for Pikmin 3, fuck off.
I remember that was a thing that I didn't like. I had trouble controlling the thing on the gamepad, and one thing that is kind of neat is that so both Pikmin 1 and 2 came out on the GameCube, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And then they ported them over to the Wii with the Wii controls, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I was excited about using the Wiimote because it just felt like that would be the easiest way to control Pikmin. Like, just point at where you want to throw them and then click a button and it'll go there. And it was more awkward trying to control that right stick to get it exactly where you want the Pikmin to go. So I did like the controls whenever I switched over briefly to the nunchuck and Wiimote, but then all of a sudden, like, you have to deal with that touch screen still. Like, you have to delegate people to do stuff, so then you have to, like, put down your Wiimote and nunchuck to go do that other thing, which is, I don't know, I think that they relied too heavily on that gamepad gimmick in some respect.
Ain't that a running theme?
Yeah.
Well, I'll fully admit that I never really played much with the Wii remote for Pikmin games because I didn't see myself liking that.
Yeah.
But I'll concede that if people like that kind of way to play it, then sure. I was used to playing it with the GameCube, and I really liked that you could control your Pikmin with the yellow C stick. Like, I liked that you could, like, have them move to the right of you or left of you and all that, and that's how you got them to swarm around something.
Yeah, that was a lot of your battling skills.
Yeah, in Pikmin 3, you don't get to control where your Pikmin move. Like, the right stick is used for camera for some bizarre reason, even though the camera system in 1 and 2 was perfectly serviceable.
Yeah.
And in place of that, they introduce a lock-on system where you can just tell all of your Pikmin to go fight something at once.
Yeah, so they simplified it quite a bit.
In an attempt to streamline the controls, I think.
Yeah.
And I will never forget this. The camera and the lock-on system for Pikmin 3 is laughably bad. And I know that because I thought it was bad when I fought that Crystal Caterpillar boss thing. Because the thing's just moving around and you have to keep locking onto them and relocking onto them. And then collecting all your Pikmin when you throw them and all that, right?
Yeah.
Then I watched you play it, and you were having the exact same troubles with that thing. Do you remember that?
Not really.
You don't remember, like, this caterpillar that was covered in, like, diamond that you had to throw the rock Pikmin at?
Not terribly well, no.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. The bosses in Pikmin 3, fuck them. They're almost universally obnoxious.
Yeah, and then with your lack of control of Pikmin, I don't imagine that makes it any better.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
It was just a lot like for Xenoblade Chronicles X for you. It's not that Pikmin 3 is a terrible game. I mean, I wouldn't call it a good game, but it's not a terrible game.
Yeah.
But it does belong in, like, a top 5 most disappointing games, and that's why it ends up on the bottom 5 Wii U games.
I got you. I got you. Is that about it for Pikmin?
No.
Okay. I'm moving on anyway.
Making a Pikmin 4?
Huh?
I mean, haven't you heard that they're making a Pikmin 4?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully that one's good. Alright. My number 4 bottom 5 is a game that technically didn't come out on the Wii U, and also on this list is another game that didn't technically come out on the Wii U first. But this is Zelda Wind Waker HD.
Holy shit!
Yeah. I didn't...
Seriously?
Yep.
Which, interesting.
So this isn't a bad game. Again, this is a pretty good game. It's just that I didn't have fun playing it.
Well, I thought you enjoyed it when you were playing. Well, I guess, I mean, in retrospect and all that.
Yeah. Well, when I was playing it, all right, I'll get into it a little bit. So Zelda Wind Waker HD, Zelda Wind Waker came out on the GameCube, and the HD remake, of course, is for the Wii U. It's an open world puzzle platformer Zelda game, 3D Zelda game. And
action adventure, they call it.
Yeah, action adventure. So this game's gimmick, like all the Zeldas kind of have a gimmick. This one is that you're on the open sea. You get a ship. The ship talks to you. You complete, a whole bunch of Zelda quests. You do the same kind of dungeons that you normally do in Zelda games, and it's a Zelda game like you'd expect. I just felt like this game had too much time-wasting elements in it. So you have the ship, and you have to travel to different islands, and I just felt like I was doing that so much. I was wasting so much time all the time just traveling to places, and then most of the puzzles were really simple, but really time-wasty. So, like, you'd have to push this block all the way across the I don't know, the room to unlock this thing to move on. Like, I felt like most of the puzzles were that kind of way.
Yeah.
What I did like about the game was that it was really pretty, and I thought that the combat was good in this game, and there were some pretty cool items. Like that leaf item is like probably one of my favorite items that I've seen in any
That
Zelda
leaf is
game.
like the most iconic thing about Wind Waker.
Yeah, it was. I just like, I don't know, floating stuff, and then because you can't really jump on purpose as Zelda. Oh, I guess until this new Zelda is gonna come out. Um,
Can you jump?
I'm pretty sure you can. I think that that's an important part of the traversal.
Oh, I knew that you could climb and like jump off of things. I didn't know if you could actually jump.
Hmm. Well, anyways, like the leaf item in Wind Waker, it kind of gives you almost like that ability to jump, just because it lets you glide. So it was
Yeah.
just a lot of fun for me to jump off of a cliff and then glide for a certain amount of time, and then catch some wind and then go back up. I don't know. I just like that.
Well, and one of the best things about the leaf is that it's multi-purpose. Because yeah, you got the gliding, but you also can swing it like a fan, which
Yeah.
allows you to like move along like leaves and or move along lily pads and hit like fan devices and all that.
Yeah, and you could use it like for battling purposes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Um, Another thing that I didn't like about Zelda Wind Waker was that you spent a lot of time in like these town cities, like, and a lot more time than I'd want to, and a whole bunch of like time wasting stuff, like wait until the nighttime and then walk behind this guy for a half an hour to figure out where he went, you know. Um, so a lot of that stuff I wasn't a big fan of. And then there's like this weird thing that they added in the HD version where they had some social media in like integration where
Oh,
you
the
could,
message in a bottle
yeah,
shit.
the message in a bottle shit. I didn't do it, and I thought it was like a waste of human resources to try and do it.
I thought you were about to say a waste of human existence.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that the game was fine. It just, I think that it was the weakest 3D Zelda game that I can think of that I've played. I mean, I've heard that Scott, what's it? The last one that came
Skyward
out.
Sword.
Yeah, Skyward Sword. I've heard that that one isn't good, but I haven't played it enough to say.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I like Wind Waker more than Skyward Sword, but I mean, Wind Waker's never been like. I mean, I don't know. I think it's all right. It's just kind. It's all right.
Yeah, and
I think
that's
the epitome of time wasting in that game specifically is when you have to play a song constantly to control other characters. You remember that?
yeah, vaguely.
Like, ugh.
Yeah. I remember that they make you go back to these islands like a whole bunch of different times for like random
Oh
contexts or
yeah.
something like that, and I was like, really? Do I have to sail across the world again? Like normally in these kinds of games, like I'd go to all of the islands and try and explore them, and like there were sometimes little neat dungeons, like mini dungeons on some of the islands, but it was most of the time just a waste of time to explore islands. Usually there was nothing.
That is frankly what scares me about Breath of the Wild. Like, yeah, it's going to be a big world, but how much of it is actually worthwhile to look through?
Yep, that's the biggest scare of that game for me
Yeah.
too. But that's all I have to say about Wind Waker HD.
I do want to say, did you? I'm just curious. Did you like Tetra?
Tetra, the character, yeah, it was fine. One thing that just saying her name reminded me of something that I did like about the game, like
Tetris?
that fortress I did like, especially when you had to hide from stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
that was just neat because it doesn't really happen a lot in Zelda games, and I thought that it was just a different, like normally you're the person beating up the bad guys and stuff, and then it just turned the game a little bit on its head. So I liked that.
Yeah, I do like Tetra a lot, and it really pissed me off in the later half of the game when she just becomes Zelda and is sent to just fucking hide for a while.
Yeah, it really simplified her character.
Yeah, I know, right? Holy
Because like
God.
she's like this cool badass swashbuckling chick, and
And
she
then,
saves you. Um,
yeah.
so I don't know.
Well, and it's not like she couldn't have been that as the princess, but no. Stay here, dear. Let the men take care of it all.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it for mine.
Okay.
KC, what is your number 4 top game for the Wii U?
Okay, this is going to be a bit controversial, I feel.
That's a
But
running theme.
my top four is, once again, it's a shame that this is not in the third position. Super Mario 3D World. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Super Mario 3D World is kind of it's kind of like a 3D but really 2D Mario platformer game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good because it makes a great use of online co-op and not online, one the same. It makes great use of local co-op, and the platforms are well done, and the final level's super hard. And there's a lot of content. And
Yeah.
what else did you say about it? I don't remember.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you didn't mention when we first talked about it?
Yeah, actually, I do. A lot of people will hate this about the game, and I can totally get it. I like that to actually get 100%, you had to play as each of the characters.
Oh, yeah, I didn't really care for that, but...
No, and I understand why people wouldn't like that, but I don't know. I enjoyed the game so much, and I like playing like same levels but with different physics involved.
Yeah, that can be a lot of fun, especially if it opens up new paths. Like, I remember doing some crazy-ass shit as Peach.
Yeah. And I mean, like playing as Toad could be more challenging at times too.
Yeah.
In certain regards.
Toad was always my favorite character in Super Mario Brothers 2.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think he was actually one of the worst characters to play as, most people would think. But
yeah. I'm pretty sure that I played. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played that game as Toad.
Yeah, me too.
3D World. Like my first playthrough, or my only playthrough, really.
Well, who the fuck wants to be Mario? Fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's all about Captain Toad, baby. Oh yeah, I like the Captain Toad levels in 3D World.
I did too. I thought that they were a nice change of pace.
Yeah, a little too infrequent to make it not feel like a gimmick.
Yeah.
Like if there was a few more sprinkled throughout the game, it probably would have felt a bit more like integrated, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to say, there were a lot of cool power-ups in the game that, I mean, yeah, like, fuck the cat suit and all that, but the cherry power-up.
What did the cherry... Oh, where you had copies of yourself?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Also, the Boomerang brother.
That was my favorite one, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that that's not original to 3D World, but still.
Mm-hmm.
And then, fuck, I can't remember all the power-ups now. I know there was that one where you had, like, a cannon on your head, which was cool.
Yeah, I can't remember that one.
The last thing I want to comment on, and this honestly was probably my favorite part about the game.
Yeah?
And I know you don't give a shit about it, but I do think it's a very important part. The stamps that you could collect.
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yep. Well, and... like, it's weird because you and I are not, like, social media kind of guys.
Yeah.
Like, or at least I'm pretty sure you're not. Like, we don't comment on Facebook or shit like that much.
Yeah, people think that I don't even go on Facebook. I mean, I check it just because people message me stuff on it, but I never actually say or do anything.
Right, and I've never had a Facebook. Except for that one time I used it to stalk somebody, but that's... I mean, no, I didn't.
NSA, stop listening.
But going back to the, like, I love the stamps concept of 3D World. I liked that there was something you could collect that actually had a tangible reward to it.
Yeah.
Like, so many of these games where you, like, get 100%, there's no real point to doing it outside of just saying you did it.
Yeah.
In 3D World, at the very least, when you, like, got stamps, you could use them for, like, online messaging. And I thought that that was a really neat way to integrate, like, the online component of the Wii U with the games.
Yeah, I thought it was an awesome... I mean, I didn't use it, and I didn't really give a shit about the way that you used it. But just from like a design standpoint, I think that it's an awesome way to get added value from something that you already put in those games. Like in these Mario games lately, there's always been like those big coins or something, or a hidden gem that you can find in each level, and it just gives you an added challenge. And like, I don't know, it gives people that are breeze through the early levels something to do usually, but this
Yeah.
adds the value that like at the end of every single level you can post something to social media or say something about the level that people will see when they beat the level.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know,
that's
it's just neat.
well, and that's the other thing. Like, I mean, social media in general can fuck off, but the one neat thing about like the Wii U's Miiverse was that you could draw on it, and
Yeah,
these stamps helped make that like feature more unique and more noticeable. Like, I'll always favor Miiverse over a lot of the other like online
communities.
gaming. Yeah, yeah. Just because like it allowed you to be a bit more creative with your posting.
Yeah,
Not that I took advantage of it often, but I just think that it was a really, really cool idea.
I agree.
Oh yeah, and Rosalina is a unlockable character, which made me very, very happy. I didn't even know that that was going to be a thing, but I was so goddamn happy.
Yeah, yeah, she's a cool character.
And she has the spin jump.
Woohoo!
Don't you love you? Don't make me not.
All right, my number 4 best Wii U game.
I better get these ones right, or I'm gonna lose the bet.
You're gonna get this one right, I'm sure. Bayonetta 2.
Okay, nice. I thought that would be higher up, but yeah.
Yeah. So the game came with Bayonetta 1, which was fucking awesome because Bayonetta
Oh, well,
1 was an exclusive to PS3.
no, it was on Xbox.
Was it on Xbox 2? Oh, okay. Well, anyways, I didn't play it, and I heard really great things about Bayonetta 2 as it was being released. Anyways, big picture stuff about Bayonetta 2. It's a spectacle 3D fighter made by Platinum, and Platinum tends to make this kind of game. So, like I said, it was released with Bayonetta 1 and it had like I thought a pretty fair difficulty. It's a hard game. It's one of those games where you have to like learn combos and constantly dodge enemies, and you do pretty crazy stuff as it's a spectacle fight. Like, you'll fight these gigantic creatures, and I thought the game was incredibly well polished. It ran really well on the Wii U, like at a pretty, I think it was a pretty solid 60 frames per second. So it had great game feel. They had fun characters. So the main character, Bayonetta, she's like this hyper sexy lady that just
She
kicks
is lust
ass
embodied.
all. Yeah, she just kicks ass all the time. She knows that she's hot, and like all the characters are like, you know, I don't know, fawning over her, and she's just beating the shit out of all of them while doing like erotic poses.
She does S&M style attacks.
Yeah, it's just like so over the top. It's just a lot of it was just fun to look at. I thought that the game had like a decent story. Not a lot of people talk about the story. It's like this good and evil concept story where you have like this really enhanced dogma stuff of good and evil, heaven and hell. Like there are a whole bunch of different kinds of demons, and then there's like archangels and a whole bunch of hierarchies of the archangels, and you're supposed to be fighting off a whole bunch of, I don't know, crazy stuff. The game had like, as I mentioned, over the top visuals. So every enemy, like final boss of each level, was, I don't know, bigger than life, and then you'd summon like this bigger than life demon to beat the shit out of it for like, you know, the final little bit of the fight, and then you just mash buttons, and then I don't know, it'd be some kind of like over the top Mortal Kombat style finish him moment. It was just a fun game, and I think that a lot of games are like in general losing that sense of fun, but I think Bayonetta 2 did a really good job with it.
That was definitely Bayonetta 1's strongest point, was just how confident it was in its silliness.
Yeah, yeah. It is a confident game. That's a confident main character too.
Is that what this episode's going to be titled now?
Confidence.
Confident. I mean, I can't really comment on Bayonetta 2 because I haven't played it yet.
I think that it's superior to Bayonetta 1. I hope you still
Well,
give
it
it a
fucking
shot.
better be because I fucking hate Bayonetta 1.
Well, you might not like Bayonetta 2 that much better then, but I thought that like the game reacted better than Bayonetta 1, and Bayonetta 1 had all those what do you call it when you have to press X at a certain
Quick time
moment in a
events.
cutscene? Yeah, quick time events that could kill you. Those pissed me the fuck off. But Bayonetta 2 does without those moments, and I think the game looks better. And for some reason, I think that you can break combos a little bit easier in Bayonetta 2. So you're like constantly mashing buttons and doing these crazy combos. I'm pretty sure in Bayonetta 2 everything's a little bit more fluid, where you can like block in the middle of a motion kind of stuff. Where in
So long as the
Bayonetta,
enemies aren't as cheap and you can more easily tell what not to do with them, I'll be fine.
yeah. One thing I'm gonna mention a game that isn't on either of these lists, but it's a similar game. So Platinum made this other game, Wonderful 101, and it's
Oh yeah.
a similar concept, but you have a whole bunch of little uh, characters that you'll gather over the course of the game. They have different attributes and yada yada yada. It's the same kind of gameplay. I think that Bayonetta 2's like fighting was better than that game's, mostly because I felt like Wonderful 101 had some more random ass bullshit, meaning that like specifically one example would be like there's these tank characters in Wonderful 101 that constantly spam these attacks even if they're not on the screen. They'll spam attacks and hit you, and you have to time like a dodge or something or a block.
Dude, remember, it's like the first or second mission in the game where they
Yep.
introduce you to those tank things, and they can just shoot you,
Yep.
and you have no conceivable way to guard against them
Unless you bought the block and or
unless
the
you
evade.
bought the jelly thing that the game never told you about.
Yeah, and they didn't give to you, so there's a possibility that you just probably can't even beat the level because
That
you don't
was
have
one
either
of
of
the
these
most
abilities.
angry times I've ever seen you.
That was awful.
You were red in the face from that.
Yeah. And
I sympathize because that was infuriating.
yeah, Bayonetta 2 doesn't pull that bullshit, and also they do a better job of not having enemies attack you when they're not on screen in Bayonetta 2. I mean, it still happens occasionally, but it's way less than Wonderful 101.
Also, I would envision the lack of touchscreen based controls makes for a easier experience on Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, they didn't pull any of that like Wii U gimmick bullshit with this game, so
Yeah.
that's another reason why I liked it.
I will say, Wonderful 101 does carry that same Platinum spirit of like being confident in how silly it is.
Yeah, they do a great job with that.
They just need to nail their gameplay down a bit better.
Yeah. Well, that's about it for Bayonetta 2 for me.
Okay.
Casey, number 3 bottom game on the Wii U.
Number 3 bottom game on the Wii U is Kirby and the Rainbow Curse.
Oh, okay. I didn't play this game.
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is essentially a spiritual successor to Kirby Canvas Curse, which came out for the DS, where you play as Kirby, but he's kind of lost his ability to, well, be a functioning creature by losing his legs and arms. So he's just a ball that rolls around, and you touch on him to make him roll faster. And you have the ability to guide where he rolls by drawing lines that he follows on the screen.
Yeah.
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse came out for the Wii U, I think. I don't remember. Edit that entire sentence out, because I don't know where I was going with that.
Okay.
I was a huge fan of Canvas Curse. Like, it's one of my favorite DS games. Probably my favorite Kirby game, to be honest.
Wow.
It was inventive. It took away a lot that made a traditional Kirby game, but it replaced it with something innovative that also felt rewarding.
Okay.
And it kept the spirit of Kirby games, because Kirby could still like copy enemy abilities and all that.
Yeah, what did Canvas Curse do? What was its gimmick?
I just explained it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Are we talking about the 3DS one? Canvas Curse?
Canvas Curse was the DS game,
Okay.
and Rainbow Curse is the Wii U game that plays almost
Curses.
exactly like Canvas Curse.
There's too many curses, Casey. I'm having trouble keeping them straight.
I'm dead.
Sorry. Continue
I
with
don't even know.
your goodness.
So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Canvas Curse. Rainbow Curse is not that great of a game.
Yeah.
Like the weird thing about Rainbow Curse, and I might as well start by saying this: like, have you saw like videos of that game, right?
Yeah, oh, most definitely. Yes. I thought
Yeah,
that
like
it was
one
a
of its
3DS
biggest.
game because it looked awful.
Wow, you're like the only person I know who says that. You're not a fan of claymation?
Not usually. No.
You don't like Wallace and Gromit?
Um, no.
Tell me you know who those are.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I was about to have to disown you.
Okay, master.
But no, well, and that's the thing. Like a lot of people went absolutely apeshit about this game when it was announced because of its visual style, just like they did with Epic Yarn, and they didn't really see behind all the bullshit of not having a lot behind the visual style.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the problem with Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is it feels kind of hollow, especially compared to Canvas Curse.
Hmm. They
And
didn't
it's
do
really
much with the gimmick. They didn't expand upon it much.
no, they didn't. In fact, they took away from it because in Canvas Curse, when Kirby rolled into enemies, he could copy their abilities and like have different ball-like attributes to himself.
Oh, wow. So they just did away with that.
Yeah, in Rainbow Curse, Kirby can just run into enemies, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and here's a really weird thing. It's a Wii U game. You cannot play it. It's almost impossible to play it on the TV because you control it entirely with touchscreen based mechanics. So
Hmm.
you have to stare at this thing through the gamepad,
Yeah.
which which lends credence to my theory that Kirby and the Rainbow Curse was always going to just be a 3DS game. But when they realized that the Wii U was hurting in terms of its library, they were just like, port it over.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Just because, like I said, whenever I saw this game, I just thought it was a 3DS game, and then you told me it was a Wii U game, and I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah, yeah. And well, and it's like there are good things about it. I think it's a decent game in terms of gameplay because I mean it's pretty much Canvas Curse. It's a bit slower than Canvas Curse. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot slower than Canvas Curse. Um, it had a neat mechanic, Rainbow Curse. I don't know why they called it Rainbow Curse. They should have called it the Clay Curse since he's in a clay world,
Yeah.
or whatever. Uh, it had an interesting multiplayer aspect, Rainbow Curse, where it was kind of like the Mario New Super Mario Brothers U
Yeah.
style thing, where one player controlled a character on the gamepad, and then everyone else played as these auxiliary characters and watched that happen on the TV.
Yeah.
Not that we ever played it, so whatever.
Yep.
The biggest failing of Rainbow Curse, besides feeling like it's just inferior to Canvas Curse, is that it's filled to the brim with a lot of superfluous bullshit. There's a ton of collectibles in the game, and you know what? This goes back to the whole Mario 3D World thing. There's a ton of collectibles in Kirby Rainbow Curse that have no meaning to them.
They're just things that
They're
don't
just things you
really.
can get,
Yeah.
and the one thing is you can unlock like challenge levels, which are like 5 second like a gauntlet of 5 second long like challenges you need to do in these little rooms
Okay.
when you collect enough things, right?
Yeah.
There's no point to doing the challenges.
Great.
Like you just unlock them, you can do them, and that's it.
Hmm.
And it's just it's that kind of like padding that infuriates me about games like Rainbow Curse.
Yeah, where they take away some of the interesting elements of the gameplay, they simplify everything, and then they'll just throw in a few extra things because they feel like they should, and it doesn't have any good impact on the game.
Yeah, and that's exactly the issue with Rainbow Curse. It feels like it took away from Kirby without replacing it with something interesting, and in place of all that, just put in a lot of like ancillary bullshit.
Yeah, I got you. Is that about it for Kirby?
Yep.
My number 3 bottom game for the Wii U is a game that I played for one day, and it's gonna make people really mad.
Oh my. Oh wait, really?
Yeah, Super
Oh my
Smash
God.
Brothers, 4.
Dude, that game is awesome.
Super Smash. Yep, Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U is my third worst game for the Wii U. So the game, right? It's fine mechanically, just like Mario games. Like Nintendo knows what the fuck they're doing by now with the mechanics of making
Wait,
a
what are we
Smash
doing?
game. Oh, and for anybody who somehow doesn't know, Smash is like this party 2D fighter game.
How do they not know?
Yeah, I'm sure they know.
Who's going to
Anyways,
listen to this and not know that? Because no one's going to listen to this.
yeah, that's true. So okay, so everybody's wondering how in the world can I not like this game? Well, I cannot like this
I'm
game
wondering that.
because of what it should have had and didn't have. So in the context of the PS4, I mean the PS3 and the Xbox 360 era, like there was no lobby system for this game, and it was also a peer-to-peer fighter that didn't have good networking like code to it. So what I mean by that is like Casey and I. So the whole thing that got me excited about Smash 4 was I was gonna play
Was
with
being
Casey.
able to play online with each other against strangers.
Yeah. We don't live terribly close to one another, so it'd been a lot of fun to be able to play together. And what I was really looking forward to doing was like playing 2v2s or something like that with Casey on my team.
We used to wreck
Yeah.
on 2v2s. Like your Pikachu and my Kirby could infuriate.
Yeah, it was a lot. It's a fun game to play, especially with people. But the way that Super Smash Bros. Online worked is that you didn't have a lobby system. We could play with one-on-one each other, fine, but not even fine because the netcode was so bad. Like both of us had really good internet. Like I think I had 40 megabytes down or something like that. It shouldn't have been an issue. And Casey would live like an hour and a half away from me, so the distance wasn't that big of a deal. But we still had like unbearable lag. We'd get into like the 1 frames per second kind of stuff whenever we tried to play that one day. Um, uh, yeah, the like I said, the game felt good. That's to be expected, though. The peer-to-peer networking issues I already brought up. The
Well, and it goes beyond coding though, because like especially compared to Mario Kart 8's online,
yeah.
Smash Brothers is lacking in so many ways that it's kind of baffling that it came out after Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 did a better job where we could play together if we wanted to and like
You could
stay
even
playing together.
you could even spectate other
Yeah,
fights in Mario Kart 8. You
yeah,
couldn't do that in Smash 4.
yeah. And then another final gripe I'm gonna say about Smash Brothers is that the single player was just trophy hunting. That's all it really was. Like they just gave you this thing that you can keep doing if you want to, and we'll give you trophies if you need it. Like that's all that really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I gotta say about Super Smash Brothers. I mean,
I mean,
the game felt good. It had cool characters and all that, but it's just that like online thing, the thing that the Wii U version should have done, it didn't do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I do agree with the online gripes. I honestly didn't think that would be in your bottom third.
Oh, for some reason I thought that you were gonna have this in your bottom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I'm wrong on one count, but the other
Okay.
one I'm sure is gonna be in your bottom.
I'm curious. I'm curious to see what that one will be.
Yeah, but that's it for Smash Brothers for me. Um, I guess Casey, what's your number 3 top Wii U game?
Number three, top Wii U game is a fan favorite and a definitely the definition of a breakout hit, Splatoon.
Ooh, baby, that's a good
It's
game.
yeah. Honestly, it is like of all the things to happen during the seventh generation, I believe, of consoles.
Yeah,
Splatoon's success is like the underdog story of the year.
yeah.
It was a new IP made by Nintendo, and for anyone wondering, it is essentially a 4v4 uh, shooting game where the main gimmick is not to shoot each other, but rather to shoot the environment with ink or paint or whatever, and try and cover more of the environment in your color ink than your opponents.
Yeah, I mean you can shoot each other, but the
Yes, but that's not
yeah,
the inherent issue, the inherent design of the game.
yeah, it's a secondary goal.
Yeah, and also you play as squid human hybrid freaks who have the ability to travel through the ink that they spray out, and when they do go in squid form and swim through their ink, they move faster and are more versatile.
Yeah. I think it's a brilliant game, like game design and a brilliant twist on the shooter genre in general. And it's a third person shooter, I believe.
Yes, yes, it is. It is like genius design. Like it felt good. The juxtaposition between being a squid and being a kid. Fuck that commercial. Anyway, between being a squid and being a kid felt great. Like being a kid, you feel more powerful because you can actually shoot, and you need to be human form to shoot.
Yep.
But also being a squid, you were faster. You could climb up walls,
Yep.
and you had to make your own path to be able to climb up,
Yep.
which was really cool.
Not only that, but you had like a whole bunch of, because it was what would you call these kinds of guns? Like paint guns, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go.
So let's like you're playing paintball. There are a whole bunch of different types of guns, and there are like these roller things, and then they came out with a whole bunch of DLC for other different kinds of weapons. So it
Yeah,
was
there is a lot
really
of
unique.
variety in terms of what you can do in the game, and like to cater to your play style.
Yeah. And I don't know. I had a lot of fun with this game. I didn't put this in my top five, however. The reason I didn't put it
God damn it!
Yep, I didn't put this in my top five because I'm like a spoiled bitch when it comes to first person shooters, or not first person shooters, but shooters in general. Like the way that it controlled, the way that the reticule worked was that like it wasn't a steady place in the middle of the screen. What it would do is compensate a little bit for the environment in front of you. It would pretty much show you what you were going to shoot relative to your character, as opposed to being like a steady middle of the screen, like unwavering reticule.
Yeah,
And for
that's
some
true.
reason, that just like I just couldn't get over it, and it didn't feel like things were going where I wanted them to. Um,
Yeah.
but that's like really the the only big complaint that I had about it. Like it had a pretty neat single player, and I got to play with Casey. It would have been much better if they had a lobby system where Casey and I could have grouped up and been together. But it
Yeah,
was
I have a feeling Splatoon would have been more favorable for, well, for you at least, probably for me too, if that I mean, because they ultimately did get a lobby system where we could play together,
yeah,
but it probably would have been better had that come out, when the game released.
yeah, that would have much better. And like it would be really cool if we could have done competitive together. Like there was like a ranked version, I believe, and then there was just like a simplified version. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean there's non-ranked combat, or there's non-ranked matches which are just matches that don't really matter.
Yeah.
And then there's ranked matches where you get points based on your performance, and you either move up the ranks or you fall down them.
Yeah, it would have been a lot of fun if we could have teamed up for the ranked version. I don't know. That would have been fun for me.
Yeah, that would have been cool. And I will say, one thing I do want to point out real quick before we move on to the another part about Splatoon, just in terms of controls.
Yep.
I think its use of the gamepad was pretty smart.
Yeah, that you could quick travel to a certain part on the map that your team controlled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Like if you died, then you could have the option of, instead of just going from where everybody started at the beginning of the match, you could like auto jump to different areas. And could you do that in the middle of the match? I think you could too.
Oh yeah, you absolutely could.
Yeah, that was neat. Like it just turned the shooter on its head with this new concept, and it's a perfect concept.
And it was a smart use of the gamepad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like when you're fighting against live humans, you don't want to waste time like searching for your map and like trying to choose something.
Yeah.
But just being able to quickly glance down, see where a character is, and point on him to rocket rocket jump toward him is brilliant.
Yep. It is
It's
brilliant.
actually the thing that most concerns me about Splatoon 2, to be honest. I don't know how fluently that's going to translate to a console that doesn't allow for touchscreen and a different map or different screens at the same time kind of deal.
Yeah. I think that it will be a touchscreen, but like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the people aren't going to be playing it with the touchscreen. They might be playing with just the little controller or whatever, or maybe the pro controller. So
Yeah.
maybe like a map goes up and then you can move a cursor, but that isn't as efficient as just being able to tap the screen.
Yeah. But going back to just a few other things real quick about why I like Splatoon.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I already said it's creative. I think it's got good game feel. I enjoyed it single player. I should probably clarify this right now. One of the primary differences between Austin and I is our preference for what we want in a game. Austin's much more like online multiplayer focused than I am. I love single player, and on the whole, I would say Splatoon single player is kind of lacking.
Yeah.
I think it had some neat ideas, but it's just a little too basically executed.
Yeah, it just felt like a chore for me when I was doing it, but it was neat that they had it.
Yeah, well, and that's the shame is that it wasn't further developed. The one other thing, and I don't know if this is a positive or a negative, but it was at least memorable, if nothing else. The constant support that was free for the game. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned this before, how they had DLC.
Yep.
None of it was paid. Like all the weapons that came out after the game launched, none of it was paid. All the new levels, all the Splatfests, all of that came out free, all for you.
Yeah, that was great. I think that was like, I don't know, awesome for like very pro consumer of Nintendo, and it helped so much with the longevity of that game. How many people played it deep into its life? Like if you played it early on and then you played it 6 months later, it was almost a different game.
Yeah, well, and that's the one thing that makes me wonder if it could also be seen as a bad thing. The launch game was very lacking. Had very little in it.
Yeah.
Like, realistically speaking, had I not known that more content was coming soon, I would have felt that $60 was a ripoff for what I got at launch.
But then you felt like it was worth it after all the DLC.
Yes, but it's not something I would have immediately recommended to anybody.
Yeah.
And not that it matters in the long run, but that's the kind of thing, because I know that they're planning to do something similar like that with Splatoon 2. That's the kind of thing where I worry that gives developers an excuse to start it's almost like the early access shit on Steam, where it'll give developers the idea that yeah, we can release a bare bones product and then add on to it and people will pay for it.
Yeah, I can see where you'd be hesitant, especially to have like I don't know, the what you'd perceive as the bare bones version up front. But
Yeah.
it really does work wonders on keeping that player base in there if you just like trickle a little bit at a time of new information, like new content, kind of like what Overwatch has been doing on the PC lately. They'll have like
Yeah.
these events, and then here's a new character, here's a new game mode, just trickling little new things, and that thing, Overwatch's player base is still like gigantic.
That's true. There is one other thing I'd like to talk about with Splatoon regarding what you just said, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Well, I don't have Splatoon on any of my lists or anything.
No, I know, but I'm once again going to commandeer the show afterward and ask you a question that you'll have to answer improv.
Oh, great. Cool. So that was your number 3 top, right?
Yes.
My number 3 top is Rayman Legends.
Fuck! How the fuck did that make it on there? I love that game, but Jesus, you never talk about it.
Yeah, it's because I played it with my wife.
Oh, yeah, you would never play with me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It was a great experience. It was a lot of fun.
It is a
My
great
wife
game.
and I, we hadn't played many games together at all, but we could play this one together because it had asymmetric co-op. So
Yep.
my wife isn't much of a gamer, but she could. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. Rayman Legends is a 2D platformer, and it was originally announced for Wii U, and then it came out to a whole bunch of other platforms.
Oh, that was a fiasco.
Yeah, that made a lot of people mad. But one of the really cool things about playing it on the Wii U is playing it co-op with another person, because if you use the nunchuck and you play Rayman, somebody else could use the gamepad and use the touchscreen to manipulate the environment. And they integrated it such a way that there was like often a lot of things for the touchpad person to do. So it wasn't like you're just sitting around and waiting until like a certain moment in the level where you'd be relevant. Like all of the levels were designed to have interesting things to be happening on the touch screen. So
It's like the gimmick for New Super Mario Bros. U, but actually thought out.
yeah, exactly. I thought that like as a 2D platformer, just basically, I thought it had a reasonable difficulty level. It took me a little while to get used to the art style of the game. Like half the time, I didn't know if something would interact with me, but then as soon as you like get a feel for that, it felt really great. And the like, okay, there are these levels in the game that are based on like music. I'm gonna call them music levels,
Oh,
where
Black
everything's timed with music. Those levels were awesome to play.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, they're like kind of scripted levels where you have to time your jumps with what the music's happening, and like these epic things will happen behind you with some really cool music in the background. That was just amazingly fun.
Yeah,
Um,
that was fucking brilliant.
yeah, and then the other thing about the game was that it was like it had fun completionist content. So
Yeah,
like,
dude.
yeah, there was a whole bunch of reasons to go back to previous levels because there were, all these things to collect in the levels, and then there were like time attack versions of those levels, or something else is weird about the level, and you'd have to manipulate it. So I don't know. Most of the reason why it's this high on my list is that I was playing it with my wife, and that we had such a good time playing it. Um, just because she didn't have to control the platforming, and like, I mean, there were like some points in the game where they don't let you just be the passive observer and touch things on the screen, where you'd have to actually platform.
Yeah.
But because of the way the game works, she didn't have to complete those parts. I would just complete it, and then like she appears back in the game, like as like this bubble character that you can get to pop or whatever. So it
For
wasn't
me,
important that she completed it.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
For me, one of the best parts about that game was when you remember when the gamepad player would like have to manipulate the environment while you held on to something, and
Yeah, it
she
like turned the whole screen around.
yeah,
If you like turned the gamepad, the screen would
yeah,
turn. That was cool.
it really was like that game was like a, an excellent way to demonstrate what the Wii U was capable of
Yep,
that other consoles could not do.
that was the best gamepad implementation in any of the Wii U's games, in my opinion, and it came from a third party.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm inclined to agree. I'm not. I keep feeling like I'm missing like a game that did something, but I really do think you might be right on that.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was a great game. And
Yeah.
I think that the Wii U is the definitive version of the game. If you're going to play it on any console and you have a Wii U, play it on the Wii U and play it with somebody else, because it's amazing.
Might as well be the only version of the game. I don't even know how the hell you would play it without like the gamepad.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think a lot of that stuff that the gamepad person would be doing was automated or something like that. I'm not
Oh,
entirely
that's
sure.
fucking stupid.
Yeah. But that's all that I have to say about Rayman Legends.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm really fucking mad that that's on your list though.
All right.
So now now two of mine have been wrong.
Yeah. So Casey's number two, bottom game, number two,
Okay,
bottom game.
my number two bottom game of the Wii U is Super Smash Brothers for Wii U.
What? Our second overlap.
Is that the other one you predicted?
No, I predicted two in each section, and so far there's been one in each section.
Oh, neat. Yeah, fuck this game. Like, I was just trying to be aloof and mysteriously charming when you were talking about Smash Brothers before. No, fuck this game. Fuck this fucking game. Fuck the Wii U version. Fuck it.
Why, Casey? But why?
Well, and I'm glad that we spoke about Splatoon before this because I once again have to emphasize I'm not as much into online play as Austin is. I am largely interested in single player. And a testament to that is the fact that most of the previous Smash games, I did not get most of my enjoyment from multiplayer. Like in Melee, it was about the classic mode and the adventure mode, the all-star mode, and the trophy hunting. And Brawl, it was the subspace emissary, the all-star mode, the classic mode, the trophy hunting, the challenges, all that shit that you did with single player that I was absolutely in love with.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers Wii U comes out. It has the worst single player offering of any Smash Brothers game to date. I suppose with the exception of the N64, but what the fuck did you want from the N64 game?
Yeah.
Like, most of the single player stuff is largely pointless. And you mentioned that single player is about trophy hunting, and to a large degree, yeah, you're right. That's true for every Smash Brothers game.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, trophies are fun to get. I'm not going to deny that. It's fun to get the trophies. It's fun to read the little information from each trophy. That's why I consider a good collectible, because at least you get something out of it, even if it's just, like, fun tidbits.
Yeah.
Problem is, quite a few of the single-player modes in Smash Brothers just offer, like, give you trophies that you could get from other modes, so there's no real point to it. Like, the Master and Crazy Orders, as far as I'm aware, don't offer unique rewards for doing them. They just offer rewards for doing them.
Yeah.
So that was pointless. Classic mode is so bizarrely butchered that I can't even, like, fathom where that came from. It's like you played some of that,
Yeah,
right?
I can't even remember how it worked.
Like you played as a little figurine piece on this board, and there'd be like 6 options for fights to engage in. You dragged your little figurine piece into the one you wanted to do, and then you engaged in that fight.
Oh, so you had slight choice in what kind of fight you wanted next.
Yes, which is not inherently bad, but it's in the Wii U version it's slow and tedious.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, I appreciate that 8-player Smash could make for some fun party bullshit. All right,
Yeah, I can see that.
that does not need to be in the single player portion of the game.
Too much randomization.
Too much randomization, and the AI is programmed to go against you.
Yeah.
Like, how many times would I be in like the 6 to 8 player matches in the single player, and at
Just
least
be a
half of the
clusterfuck.
computer players are ignoring each other, even though they're all standing right in front of each other, and they're all just lining up to try and hit me.
Yeah, that's bad.
And on top of that, like the fact that because the thing about 8-player Smash is that it's going to inherently be a clusterfuck, and that makes for funny party shit.
Yep.
In single player, when you're trying to win and you're trying to be skilled at winning, all the shit that is happening in the zoomed out screens does not make for fun, or it doesn't make for fun. It doesn't make for challenge. It just makes for infuriating, like, tedium.
Yep.
Because most of my single player time with those was just like running around, waiting for a decent item that I could clear half of the enemies away, and then finally start fighting for real.
Yeah, that's another thing that I don't really care for in like Smash games is that items have so much of an impact that if you're playing with them, it's like just an imperative that you drop whatever you're doing to try and get this item that just dropped from the skies.
And it's amplified in the Wii U version, because there are some items that will literally just end you with more items than normal.
Yeah.
That fucking Zelda flying bug thing.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I mean, I agree with everything that Austin said, and it still, to this day, baffles me that Smash Brothers came out, I think, like half a year after Mario Kart 8, and it somehow has inferior online infrastructure to Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. You'd think
Like,
that
there's
they'd
no
learn a
joining
thing.
friends in battles, you can't spectate, you can't gamble on matches like you could in Brawl, at least.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, the one nice thing is the fact that there's, like, that Omega mode shit, and even that's just, like, whatever.
Yep.
And then there's all these weird, like, design decisions that just amplify the infuriation. Like the fact that you can customize your controls, right?
Okay.
But the game doesn't save your customization between matches. Like it'll save your mapping that you wanted.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, you can map out your controls however you want. The game will save it to your profile. But in between each match, you better remember to go select that you want your custom mapping, or else you're playing with the game's default controls, which are obnoxious.
Which would be solved if they had like that lobby system where you could just like sign in as a profile whenever you're playing the game, you know?
Or, God forbid, if they just programmed the game to remember what your last decision was.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, it's just, I can't, I just couldn't believe how disappointing Smash Wii U was to me.
Yeah.
And before anyone gets pissed off at us, and Austin said this before, Smash Wii U and 3DS are mechanically perfect in terms of like the fighting game mechanics.
Yeah.
Like all the characters feel largely well balanced. The new characters are fun to play with and try. There's tons of fun stages. The fighting feels fast and fluid. It feels like a good marriage of Brawl's heavy hitting nature versus Melee's more speedy, quick delivery.
Yeah.
And I mean, I played the 3DS version of Smash Brothers after I fucking threw the Wii U one out my window.
Yeah.
And
You
I
like
fucking
the
love
single
3DS.
player more on that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a classic mode that again offers like choice, but it's just a binary like choose from one of three paths kind of deal.
Okay.
Which I mean, it's still kind of unnecessary, but at least it didn't get in the way of anything.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved the 3DS one. I trophy hunted the shit out of that one. I loved its online mode, or not online mode. I loved its extra mode that felt like City Trial from Kirby Air Ride.
Yeah.
And that alone just shows to me it's not the game, it's not the gameplay that's bad. It is the designs it's the framework around the gameplay that's bad for Wii U.
Yeah. I agree. Is that about it for Smash? Your thrash of the Smash?
Wow. What a bash.
Oh, yeah.
It was a monster smash. Shut up.
So, my number 2 bottom 5 game. Casey said something at the very beginning of the podcast that we wouldn't have any games that we didn't play. Well,
What?
here's a game that I didn't play.
I'm about to have an argument with you.
I slightly played it. Very slightly.
What the hell could this be?
So it's a combo package because they came out as a combo package. You could buy them individually, but Star Fox Zero
Star Fox?
/ Guard, yeah, is my number
you kidding
2
me?
bottom game that I didn't
Oh
play.
my god, let's fight, baby. Bring it on.
So my reasons for putting it in here is, well, I'm gonna expand on it a little bit in my number 1 worst game for the Wii U. But
Oh my god, if it's Star Fox Zero, I'm gonna flip.
no, I mean Star Fox Zero is my number 2 bottom 5.
Oh, I thought you said Star Fox Guard.
Oh yeah, Star Fox Zero / Guard, both of them.
Oh.
As like a unit for the Wii U. So like my problem, I didn't play this game, but it was reviewed so poorly. I knew that I wasn't gonna play this game.
Yeah.
And like one of the issues with the Wii U in general is that Nintendo's insistence on like gimmicks and justifying the existence of gimmicks. So Guard, I mean, okay, so Star Fox Zero didn't play, and then you had to control the thing with the gyroscope, right? That was the gimmick with the controls, and that you'd have 2 different vantage points of looking at the gameplay. You'd have the third-person version on the television, and you'd have the first-person version on your gamepad.
Well, specifically, you had to aim with the first-person version on the gamepad.
Yeah, and I don't know. It, like, everybody says that the game doesn't feel good and, like, that they didn't do a good job implementing it, and I just believe it, and it's just complete ignorance, I think, for Nintendo, or like not ignorance, stubbornness, to justify their own existence. And then the guard part, I think the guard is a neat idea for a game. It's just that it was like 1/4 of a game and one like really really simple concept that I don't think works that well. I think it has a lot of the same problems as Zero in that you have too many screens to take like note of. So when you're playing Zero, it's like a moving game, and you have to take into account two different screens. For guard, there's like a whole bunch of like the gimmick is that it's a tower defense. You control the placement of a whole bunch of different cameras, and the cameras tell you when these enemies show up, and you have to place different defensive elements to stop these things from going into your base. And the way that you view it is through these cameras. But there's just so many cameras, too many different screens, and I just don't enjoy all these switching of looking at different screens. I don't know. I'd rather focus in on like one screen and then control gameplay elements instead of just micromanaging screens.
I mean, I think it works a little better in guard because you did mention that Star Fox Zero is a moving game that forces you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
In guard, it's a pretty stationary game, and I think that makes a large amount of difference because you don't have to take into account like I don't even know how to put it per se. Like you're just watching things in guard, and you're just reacting to them. In Zero, you have to watch things and be aware that you're also moving toward things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I will admit I have not played Zero.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to play it because it looks like utter dog shit.
Yeah, and that's awful because both of us were like, at least I was mildly excited about seeing a Star Fox game.
I was excited. I fucking love Star Fox Zero. Jesus Christ. Star Fox 64.
Yeah. I don't know.
I even like Star Fox Adventures on Dinosaur whatever. No response to that.
Yeah, I don't know about. I didn't play that at all on Dinosaur or whatever.
But I mean, to me, that game is an epitome of so much that's wrong about the Wii U.
Yep.
Especially or not even the Wii U so much as wrong with Nintendo's like approach to the Wii U.
Mm-hmm. It just felt like the game deserved to be on a bottom 5 list for the Wii U, but I felt just obligated to put it in there.
Based on that logic, they're better. Another game better be your number one based on that.
Yeah, there's another game that I think you'll find this game. It's a game that I did play. Is my number one.
God damn it.
Okay.
I hate you. We need to establish some rules before we do these.
You're not gonna like my number one Wii U game.
Oh, I can't wait. I really can't wait. Let me guess, it's the one you saw me play?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it for my number 2, bottom 5.
Can I point out one thing about Star Fox Zero, since we're probably never going to talk about it again?
That'd be fine.
I love one of the primary arguments you'll ever hear about that game in defense of its control scheme.
Okay.
Is that you just need to play it more to get better at it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's any game.
Funny thing, that applies to anything. It's called acclimation.
Yeah.
It's a natural human ability that the more you do something, the more better at it you'll be.
Yeah, I mean, like, people will be shit at, like, first-person shooters the first time that they encounter it, but...
Regardless of whether they're badly designed or not.
Yeah, but it's, like... As soon as you get a whole bunch of experienced gamers that have trouble, like, interfacing with this thing, when you have so much experience interfacing with things, like, Casey plays a wide variety of games, and if he says that a game doesn't control well, I know for fucking sure that I'm not going to be able to play it.
Jesus Christ. Don't sell yourself short like that, dude.
Well, it's true.
Well, and I just want to say, like, well, thank you for the compliment, but, like, on a similar note to that, like, I played a lot of platformers in my day, right?
Yeah.
And Battletoads is shit, but by that same argument, apparently it's good once you play it enough to get better at it. No, that's just because you played it enough to get better at it, not because it's well designed. And the same is true for Star Fox Zero.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. So, Casey, on a more positive note, what's your number 2 best game for the Wii U?
Number 2, best game of the Wii U is The Legend of Zelda: Hyrule Warriors,
What?
which, incidentally, weirdly enough, is my number 1 most played game on the Wii U.
Yeah, you played the shit out of this game.
200 hours, baby. And
I
didn't
wasn't
even
sure
do
you were
the
gonna
final
like it
game.
whenever you started playing it. I thought that you wouldn't.
I had never played. I believe that these games come from a franchise called Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, I believe that to be true.
I had never played any of them. They looked monotonous and boring to me, but at the same time, it was kind of like, well, I mean, I, I've never played any of them. I've always wanted to play one of them, so why not do the Zelda one?
Yeah.
Um, and I got really into it. Like, I'll fully accept a lot of the gripes against these styles of games. They are repetitive. They are extremely repetitive, and they can be very basic in terms of what they offer.
Okay.
But, but man, I don't know. Like, I can't even. Okay, just to let you know, these Dynasty Warrior games and Hyrule Warriors are essentially 3D hack and slash games in their most basic form, where you just run along the field, beating the ever loving fuck out of hundreds of enemies who have probably like 2 lines worth of coding in terms of their AI. So they only know to either stand still or try and hit you.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you won't even give them the chance to do that. And you strike hundreds of them at once with wide, sweeping, epic-looking attacks. And I mean, at least in Hyrule, in terms of Hyrule Warriors, the usual objective was to either kill the general of an army, or take over certain like vantage points of a field.
Okay. So you had a whole bunch of little fodder characters, and then there would be more boss-like other characters that you would actually pose a challenge to you.
Yeah, I would say there were about 5 enemy types in the game. Small guys, medium guys, like large bosses, other like main character bosses,
Yeah.
and then an occasional like odd enemy.
Okay.
And it does get repetitive, but Hyrule Warrior's greatest strength, drawing from its Zelda lineage, is the wide variety of characters that it gives you.
Okay.
But it's more than, and when I say, I mean, like, you got Link, you got Zelda, you got all the staples, then you got some bizarre ones out there like fucking Agatha, the bug collecting bitch from Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know who that is.
Of course.
Yeah,
Who doesn't?
I know I do. I was actually very happy when she was announced. And that's the thing, like, if it was just cosmetic, like if all the characters played the same, then I'd probably be like, fuck this game. And I'm sure you've noticed a running theme with me as of late, where I like games that make you do something with a different, like, set of rules, like make you do the same thing, but with a different set of rules in place.
Yeah. That has
And
been a thing.
Hyrule Warriors is very similar to that, because every character handles differently in terms of how they attack, what they're good with, what they're bad with, and like their range of attacks and all that.
Okay.
And it's just fun. It was just fun to get a new character and try him out, learn all the specials, upgrade him so you could further learn his like other attacks and specials later on.
Yeah.
Every character was an awesome wink to like Zelda history, like fucking. Well, I don't want to spoil like some of the cool references they do. Midna has an awesome reference to Majora's Mask. That's all I'll say.
Awesome.
But the one, I think and I should mention, like, there's a single player mode to Hyrule Warriors, and it's largely forgettable. But there's also an adventure mode where you essentially wander around grid style on this like NES style Zelda map, and every little grid block is like a challenge that you have to do. And it's largely the same gameplay, but you can get so absorbed in just trying to like explore this entire map and unlock because That's how you unlock a lot of the shit, is by doing these map pieces.
Okay.
And you just get like absorbed in just trying to unlock all of it.
What kind of items are you getting?
What do you mean? Oh, like what kind of unlockables do you get?
Yeah.
I've unlocked characters. I've unlocked weapons, costumes,
Okay.
certain item, like certain.
That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm the one, and a lot of people. I also want to say the DLC for Hyrule Warriors is very well done. Nintendo in general is very good at doing DLC,
Yeah.
and I think Hyrule Warriors is a good example of that because you could buy like a DLC pack, right?
Okay.
And you would get 2 characters plus an adventure map plus costumes and a couple items. Like that's a lot of shit to get for $10.
Yeah, and those maps took forever for you to complete.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I look at that and I compare that to say like Smash Brothers, where you could pay $7 for a single character, and just kind of like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. You're getting a lot more value, bang for your buck, if you will.
Yeah, and I think Hyrule Warriors was one of the first Nintendo games. Second to yeah, you know what? Second to Mario Kart 8, and maybe third to Mario Golf. What the fuck was the 3DS one, dude? World Tour.
Yeah.
I think the Hyrule Warriors is one of the first games that showcased how good Nintendo seems to be with DLC.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say, and going back to the main complaint of the game can get repetitive, the weird thing is, another theme is that it has that feeling of like just one more to it. Like, let's do one more chapter or one more fight.
Yeah.
And I never found the gameplay to get repetitive because even though I was doing the same things, there's so much shit that you have to pay attention to when you're playing on the screen. Like, you gotta watch your mini map to see where factions are taking over and where you can take over factions. You've got to pay attention to your life, to your special meter. You pay attention to what other characters are saying. You look around you and see like opportunities to hit people. There's a constant stream of stimuli to focus on, and it puts you into like this kind of like zen-like state of play where you don't even really think about what you're doing, but you just kind of inherently do it.
That's pretty neat. You're making me want to play this game I didn't want to play.
Well, and again, it's all about if you can get into that zen-like state. Like, I will fully accept that the game's main downfall is it's repetitive as fuck.
Yeah.
And if you can't see all the stuff around the repetition, then you're not going to like it.
I see what you're saying. That seems like a
But
pretty
yeah,
good
that's my number two.
That's good, Casey. My number 2 top game for the Wii U is Mario Kart 8.
Thank you. Finally, I got one right. Jesus Christ.
So this is the best feeling Mario Kart that I've played. And all of the Mario Karts I think feel really good. If you go back and play Mario Kart 64 now, and a lot of people will not like me saying this, but it doesn't feel good. Like there's this lag in your input and what actually happens.
It's very slippery.
Yeah, and Mario Kart 8 feels more stable. It reacts a lot faster to what you're doing. They have like, I think the best AI of any Mario Kart game. So inherent in some of the earlier Mario Kart games, if you got like way ahead of the pack, the AI would rubber band to you, like they'd go faster than what is actually possible to get back up to you. Where in Mario Kart 8, if you're like that far ahead, there's not shit that people are gonna do to get up to you, and it feels good when that happens, especially when you're playing on the high difficulties.
Yeah, and leaving aside the programming, there's also less getting fucked in the ass by items when you're in first.
Yeah, there's like that blue shell that can still screw you over, but I think you can avoid it a few different ways. So
that beautiful horn, man.
Yeah. And you could time like a boost just at the right time and avoid it if you're particularly good.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know, there was like a certain amount of depth to the game, and it had much better, as we were talking about with Splatoon and Smash Brothers, it had much better online content than any of their other Nintendo
It
offerings
probably
for the
has the
Wii U.
best online Nintendo's ever done.
Yeah, and I hope that they just improve on what they did with Mario Kart 8 with a lot of the Switch's online content. Um, and then I thought that the levels were pretty nicely varied. There was some strategy to a lot of these levels. One thing that I remember specifically was that water pipe level. Like, we were going through a whole bunch of water pipes, and at the
Oh,
end,
dude.
yeah, at the end of the level, they had like these really sharp curves to get to the like this, I don't know, sharp curve after sharp curve, so it made like an S or something like that, but like a shrunken down S.
And
But
there
if
were walls you could go through.
yeah, and there were walls that you could go through if you had like a mushroom or something like that, where you could, instead of winding around the S, you could just go straight up like a dollar sign through the S.
Yeah, yeah.
And like there would be some pretty epic moments in it,
I
when
know.
that happened.
I know you remember.
Oh yeah, I remember like Casey screwing me over so much in that section. Like he'll just pop up out of nowhere.
Literally, we played that stage like 2 times in a row. I got a mushroom on the very last lap that allowed me to propel through that little area and cut in front of Austin into first. He was so mad.
Yeah, we played that game a lot online, and we were like really evenly matched. It
No,
was
we
just
weren't.
yeah,
Don't.
we
Okay,
were.
I'm gonna flatter Austin a bit here since he flattered me when we were doing the whole Star Fox thing. You're fucking good at Mario Kart 8. You're like S rank, and I'm like A rank at that.
Yeah. I was really good at Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS. Like that's probably one of the best games I've ever like the one of the some of the best I've ever been at a game compared to other people. Like I played that online for at least like 20 30 hours, and I pretty much like I would win almost every single match.
God damn.
Um and I just remember I was in like this party or like series of events with this one guy from like Japan that just kicked my butt, and he was like the only person online that I remember that kicked my butt ever.
Leave it to either the autistics or the Japanese to bring you back to reality when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, some people can get really involved and kick your butt, and you're like, gosh,
Some
you,
people can just be bizarrely into it and kick your butt.
yeah,
I'll guarantee you that guy didn't have a job.
yeah. But I thought Mario Kart 8 just felt good. It was a lot of fun to play. And like you were talking about, it had really great DLC, but I didn't play a lot
You
of the
didn't get to
DLC.
do much of it.
Yeah, we played it so much that when the DLC came out, I wasn't, I don't know. I didn't
Yeah,
have the momentum going, but it was still amazing.
yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to be talking about Mario Kart 8 in another minute.
You son of a bitch.
So that'll be it for my number two best. Casey, what is your number one worst game? Came
Number
out
one
on the Wii U.
worst. Number one worst Wii U game is a game that I'm sure many people have played, and that this game will cause, or that this opinion will cause an extreme amount of contention, considering it's probably the number one Wii U game everyone's bought. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Shark FE.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody bought this one, Casey.
Oh yeah, man. No, don't you know? Look on fucking redtube.org right now. Look on look on
It's
Tokyo
old.
Mirage Sessions sharpfe.reddit.
Yeah,
Num-
of course. So, what is this game, Casey? What are
Tokyo
you even
Mirage
talking about?
TMSFE, I'm calling it because fuck that name.
Okay.
Although it does have a cool reference to SMT in that, but whatever. TMSFE is a JRPG. It is a JRPG slash school life kind of simulator. It's essentially like Persona 4. It's a combination JRPG dungeon crawler and a dating sim,
Yeah.
where you will spend half your time talking to NPCs and admiring the atrocious writing, or you'll spend half your time wandering through dungeons, being lulled into a state of comfort with the battle system before being utterly kicked in the ass and losing all of your progress for an hour. And there you go.
Yeah. What's the primary gameplay, like the combat in this game? What's that like?
It's turn-based. It's really, honestly, it's fucking hard to describe. It's turn-based where characters randomly will either attack before an enemy or not, but you know what the order will be.
Yeah.
And if you attack an enemy with their weakness, you essentially gain the ability to chain attacks with your friend or with your allies to deal massive amounts of damage.
Hmm.
And enemies can also hit you with your weakness to chain attack you to death.
Yeah. Are there any redeeming qualities to this game?
Well, I mean, I think the combat's fun. The combat's fun.
Yeah.
Combat's great. But it's the only problem is, by the way, this is from the same makers of Shin Megami Tensei 4, which you and I spoke in great deal about a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And just like in that game, the combat can be fun, but enemies can just too easily take advantage of your weaknesses and just fuck you over without any chance for you to defend.
Yeah. It's no
I'm
good.
glad. What?
That's no good. I don't like that kind of, I don't know, seeming, it's like overpowering randomness or something in turn-based games where you don't have a lot of control in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
It seems like it's too much punishment for,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's not even punishment for failing, because sometimes you'll just like get completely ass fucked by enemies that you should have, by all rights, been able to beat. But because they hit you at the right time, at the right moment, they chain attack you to death.
Yeah.
And on top of that, and I should state, like earlier, I said that half of the game is talking to NPCs and admiring the bad writing.
Yeah.
And the story is bad. Tokyo Mirage Session's story is utter garbage. It's your standard, hey, this is like your anime settings that you hate.
Yeah.
It's your standard anime high school kids plot about children wanting to work in the entertainment industry as idols and models and shit, and how they achieve that through the power of friendship and cheating through magic.
You should write synopses for stories, Casey.
Am I doing a bad job at it, or am I just...
No, it's excellent.
Okay. Well, and it's I don't know, man. Like, and I fucking love Persona 4, and I'll admit that the writing in that game can at times get a little stupid.
Yeah, this is why I was surprised that the game was as badly received by you as it was, is that Persona 4 is made by the same people. All this is Atlas, right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
And you'd think that the company that made, like, your number one RPG would be able to make an RPG that was pretty good, maybe not your worst Wii U game of all time.
Yeah, I don't know what finally tipped me over. The fact that I was so goddamn disgusted by the characters I was playing as, or the fact that the enemies would occasionally cheat me to death.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, the characters in this game, the narrative and all that is so incredibly bad. It is like 80s style anime bad.
Yeah.
And oh my god. And it's so bizarre to me that these are high school kids who want to become idols, as if it's almost like the opposite of Persona 4, where Persona 4 like was all about being true to yourself.
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem Persona version is about becoming part of a corrupted industry that's all about lying to people.
Yeah. I agree with that assessment. I'm sure it would have been on my bottom 5 if I'd played it.
Remember what you saw me play?
Yes, I do. It was awful. It was awful.
God, that fucking...
It told you to go talk to somebody, and you were like, I'm pretty sure I know where this person is just because I've had to put up with so much bullshit in this game, and the person wasn't even where you thought it was.
Yeah, no, like, I had to go do this social link ass shit for this blonde-haired bitch. Yeah. And, like, I searched all around for her, and then eventually she just appeared at a place that I had already looked at before. And I don't know if that was a bug, or if that was just, like, I needed to dick around long enough to find her.
I don't know.
But it was at that point I was just like, you know what, game? Fuck you. I'm done with your shit.
I hate getting, like, the ring around, the roam around from games where you have to, like, I don't know, just keep backtracking over and over and over to find, like, this little tiny detail that changed somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. Is that about it for your number one worst?
Yeah, I could go on, but I don't want to.
That's okay. So my number one worst, I'm surprised you didn't include this in your bottom five. This would be Super Mario Brothers U.
I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah,
didn't play enough of it to consider it in there.
yeah.
I honestly forgot it existed until this conversation.
Me too. Like I forgot that this game existed. You even got rid of this game, which is not something that Casey ever,
No,
ever,
very
ever
rarely will I
does.
return a game, even
Yeah.
if it's like mediocre.
Um, so this game, I think this was released with the Wii U. If not, it was very early on in the Wii U's life that this game came out.
Yeah, at least the launch window definitely.
So again, with a lot of these bottom five games, mechanically this is like a fine game. Like you would expect, Nintendo knows how to make a 2D Mario, and they do, and it works. The reason that this game is my like bottom worst game for the Wii U is if this game didn't come out, if this was a different game, if Mario 3D World came out when Super Mario Brothers U came out, if like Super Mario Brothers U just never came out and it didn't matter ever, the Wii U would have been a better system. Like it would have sold more. It would have sold more like units or whatever. There would have been more content. But
Yeah.
you can't expect people to go buy a console for a 2D Mario game that doesn't really innovate at all, other than this weak multiplayer concept that isn't as good as Rayman Legends, where you can have a person create platforms instead of actually playing alongside you. Like there is
And that's
multiplayer.
all they do.
Yeah, there's multiplayer like 3D Mario World where you can have multiple people playing at once in this 2D plane, but it doesn't really do that much. You just can't you can't sell a console on a 2D Mario.
Well, you know why they thought they could?
Why?
Because New Super Mario Bros. Wii sold like fucking bandit.
Yeah, yeah,
And this was back when Nintendo still thought, oh, the Wii U, people will jump from the Wii to the Wii U because we're awesome and we know what we're doing. So we
yeah,
can just make another Mario game, and the stupid fucking idiots that buy our consoles will just go right for it.
yeah. I have one more gripe with this game. I played it most of the way through, and then I just couldn't will myself to play it anymore. I wanted to play it just because I owned the game and I owned a Wii U, and I was like, I might as well beat this game, right? But
Yeah.
I just stopped playing it because it was boring. But one thing that I have to say about this game that I think that they did wrong, and I wouldn't have noticed it had we not played it with my wife. So me, Casey, and my wife played this game
Uh-huh.
for like a little while, and the game has a sharp difficulty curve in the beginning. So all Mario games start off really easy. You should be able to expect to beat the first world of Mario with little experience in gaming, which my wife has, right? But as
Right.
soon as we got to that second world, like we could not progress because my wife like couldn't do the levels. Um, and it wasn't like it was all of a sudden. As soon as we got to World 2, it was like the first level in World 2 we just like couldn't get past. Um,
Yeah.
and I noticed that when I was playing single player by myself too, that the game like really does get way harder. So they didn't tune this game in as well as they have with other Mario games. Is what I'm getting to. And
Well,
it's
and weirdly enough, that would usually be a selling point, but
yeah.
when it's badly paced, it's just like, no.
Yeah, and if it's the only like real gaming offering other than like they had the Nintendo Land or whatever, was like pretty much the only other thing that came out with the Wii U. Like you have to make if it's your only other game, you have to make it accessible. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It is I think that I still hold that if Mario 3D World came out in place of Super Mario Brothers U, that the Wii U would have sold way more copies.
I agree. Well, and it's because like Nintendo was still in a very misguided mindset when they released the Wii U.
Yeah, that's true. So, Casey, we're going on to your number one Wii U game.
Well, I don't know why you're putting emphasis on it. You already predicted that we'd be talking about it again.
I thought it was going to be your worst game, Casey.
Oh yeah, man. Fucking Okay, my number one Wii U game is. I still can't do. Can you motorboat for me?
Wife, come here.
I've been trying to motorboat like every time there's been a drum roll.
Yeah.
Okay, my number one Wii U game is Mario 3D World.
What? You crazy?
All right, fuck it. My number one Wii U game is Mario Kart 8.
Okay. Tell us about Mario Kart 8, your experience. Why is it number one, Casey?
Okay. Well, first of all, just a little history. I hated Mario Kart Wii. Really
Okay.
hated it. Really hated the online. Really hated the single player. Hated it, hated it, hated it. Especially the courses and the 12 player thing. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we've got that through. Never played Mario Kart 7. Didn't see much interest in it. Didn't feel that the vehicle changing mechanic was particularly interesting.
Yeah. Seeing what you're putting down.
And when Mario Kart 8 was first announced, I was not impressed with like the little bit that they showed because it was just like, okay, this is Mario Kart 7, but better looking.
Yeah, and then like the gravity thing, we were both like, that doesn't matter. Who gives
No,
a shit?
well, in truth, did it? Well, yeah, I guess it did matter. So,
It did?
yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that it opened up for some different paths similar to the vehicle transforming shit.
Yeah, I guess so.
And not that it mattered inherently, but
Yeah.
it was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But anyway, point I'm trying to get to is that up since Mario Kart Wii, I have not felt that there's been a decent Mario Kart game. Mario Kart 8 is the first Mario Kart game I've played since the GameCube one that I felt was like a genuine advancement in all the right ways.
Mm.
Like, I thought mechanically it was like beautifully executed. It felt better than any Mario Kart game before it.
Agreed.
Yeah, it like you said before, the programming was top notch. I mean, still some bullshit, and I think that you do need some bullshit in a game like this.
Yeah, it's an arcadey racer. There's gonna be some bullshit, but
Yeah, but it feels like the game feel is so just polished to a mirror sheen.
yep, it is. Feels amazing.
Yeah, the items all feel good. Well, most of them. Some of them continue to be universally useless, but now you've grown accustomed to them like you would a fucking mutilated dog or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, do you think that I've become a contentious enough guest on this?
I suppose.
Okay, well, the courses are some of the best in Mario Kart history. I love the courses in Mario Kart 8,
Yeah,
and
they're really good.
both in terms of design and even just like. And I know that this is going to seem strange considering I shat on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze earlier. Even just like little details that you can pin out are just awesome in those games. Like the levels look beautiful. But it's also just the fact that so many of the levels have a unique feel to them. Like the fact that you can drive through a fucking airport is just like, and I know you don't like that level, Austin, but like you can drive through an airport.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You can drive through an airport. You can drive through a volcano. You can drive down a waterfall and through some mines.
Yeah, they're cool environments. And
Yeah.
there are some like really crazy shortcuts in some of those levels.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I didn't get the vehicle transforming thing in Mario Kart 7, I should say. I mean, I didn't play it, so I can't comment whether it was well realized or not.
Yeah.
But playing Mario Kart 8, I felt like there was genuine advantages and disadvantages to taking one path over the other based on what your vehicle was going to do.
Yeah.
And you know what made the zero gravity parts particularly interesting?
What?
The design decision that bumping into players during those instances sped you up.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. I take back my position entirely.
Yeah, like that was a brilliant design choice that actually gave some weight to that like part of it.
Yeah.
And combine that with the fact that like gliding is faster but a little less like doesn't handle as well. Going underwater is still just kind of pointless, but like all of that just meshes so well together. Like you've said before, the online is some of the best that Nintendo's done. I honestly, for the Switch version, were they to keep it as it was, I would not have that many complaints. I do think that there's things they could improve upon,
Yeah.
but I think in terms of infrastructure, they have got a very solid like system in place.
Agreed.
And then the last thing, the DLC is very well done. I loved the map packs you could get, plus the characters that came with them. Like that's the thing. Nintendo knows how to do DLC because DLC should be in packs. You shouldn't have to buy like little skins or single characters. You should be able to buy like packs that have a lot of stuff you can enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Mario Kart 8. You got like I don't even remember now. You got like I think 8 courses per pack. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was like 8 courses per pack plus a character or two.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good value.
Yeah, and then the addition of 200cc.
Oh, I forgot about that. I did mess with that a little bit.
Oh man, I played all of that. Like, it's bizarre how much it just changed the game. It went from being arcadey to being like thumb thrashingly hard.
Yeah.
And then fuck, there was one other thing I was going to mention. Of course, there's the integration of stamps again, which I think was a good idea.
Okay, yeah.
Gave you an incentive to play as each of the characters, while also continuing on with the Miiverse like functionality. And I think that it had an excellent amount of content. Even the base package, I think, was an excellent amount of content. How many fucking tracks or cups were there? 8?
Yeah, at least I think there is a bunch.
Yeah, it was so just packed to the brim. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
The last thing I want to say, Mario Kart 8 also, I feel, deserves credit for being the thing that jump-started the Wii U.
Yeah.
Like, before that game came out, or before a lot of emphasis was placed on it, everyone was just kind of looking at the Wii U as like a...
useless piece of hardware.
Yeah, and I was with them. I was with them on that feeling.
Yep.
You see Mario Kart 8, and that is a genuine example of, like, advancement.
Yeah, that was the killer app, really.
Yeah. It's like advancement that comes with better hardware, and it was one of the first Wii U games that felt like true effort and passion was put into it.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, sadly, it wasn't enough to keep the Wii U alive, but I do feel that was like a turning point that gave the Wii U another chance.
Yeah. Despite me not getting it, and I don't think you're going to get it either for the Switch, the deluxe version, I can still somewhat... it doesn't make me mad just because a whole bunch of people are going to get to experience this game.
Yeah, very true. Very true. But that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's a great number 1. Like I said,
you're not... So it was your number 2.
What?
I should hope so. After all, it was your number 2.
Yeah, and like I said, you're not going to be quite happy with my number 1 pick.
Oh, I can't wait.
Because it's not a Wii U game technically. It's a somewhat remake for the Wii U. Just like how Zelda Wind Waker HD was for the Wii U and it was in my bottom.
Are you telling me that
Monster Hunter Tri-Ultimate is my number 1 Wii U game?
Can I just point out what I thought was going to be in your top 5 that I was wrong on?
What?
Fucking Affordable Space Adventures.
Oh, yeah. I thought that,
this whole time I thought that was going to be in there.
It was easily the next one that was going to be put in here. Like, it was hard for me to pick between Mario 3D World and that one.
Okay.
But, yeah. I mean, Affordable Space Adventures, let's just get it out of the way, is like one of the best co-op experiences I've ever had,
Yeah, it's a good game.
It's a really good asymmetric, just like Rayman Legends. If Rayman Legends is the best implementation of the Wii U gamepad, easily number 2 goes to Affordable Space Adventures. But anyways,
it was a neat idea.
Yeah. So Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate's my number one Wii U top game. It's probably the best. Easily one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. Um,
Wait, why would that make me mad?
cause it's a Wii game.
Well, but you never played the Wii game enough to.
Yeah, yeah. It was a Wii U game for me, I guess, my experience.
Yeah,
But like, it, it's a okay. So I love Monster Hunter. We went over this in the first podcast.
yeah.
It's a big screen Monster Hunter, unlike these 3DS pieces of shit that we've been playing lately. um, and like, okay, oh, Monster Hunter is like this RPG adventure game that's kind of Dark Soulsy in the way that it plays. There are a bunch of different weapons that you can use. You have to gather resources. Um, you
And the
you
combat is very Dark Soulsy. You like need to watch enemy movement and time your own attacks accordingly.
yeah, you have these gigantic monsters you're tasked with fighting later on in the game, and you have to like pull your resources together to kill the things, and then you loot off of its body to make better armor to fight this harder monster that's coming up. And I don't know, it has like an awesome progression, and then like the game just play is so deep. Like you can get really really good at these games, and it'll take hundreds upon hundreds of hours to master the thing. And both of
And
us
there's
have like not even mastered the thing with, I don't know, in total we probably have over 500 hours into these Monster Hunter games, you know.
you don't even have to. I have 500 hours without you, bitch.
Yeah. um but like the the real the real reason that this game is my number one like top game for the Wii U is like, I mean, the gameplay is amazing. The way that the game plays, like, I would have had fun if this game was a single player game. It probably wouldn't made my top five Wii U games if it was just single player only. But
Yeah.
the reason that it's my top game is the multiplayer experience that I had with you. So Casey and I played this game
Aww.
together, and Casey
Don't
and
get
I.
my ties.
Yeah, this is gonna get a little cheesy and uncomfortable for Casey. But
Sexton.
Casey and I were like really close together, like friends for the first 2 years of high school. Like we'd go over each other's houses and play games a lot, and we'd see each other a lot. And then I went off to like this residential high school for a little while, and we
What
didn't
we-
keep in touch as well as we had when we were, going to school together. And
We
then
didn't?
when we get to college, Casey and I like talked a little bit, but we didn't start talking regularly until we started playing Monster Hunter Ultimate together. Is that fair assessment, right, Casey?
No.
No.
I thought that we were pretty close.
I don't know. I felt like
college and
Monster
high
Hunter
school.
Try, like just, um, I don't
What
know.
about
We talked way more often because of Monster Hunter. I thought
what about Terraria?
Terraria was after Monster Hunter, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Oh well, then it might be. Well, anyways, I guess.
Ostinates, man.
Well, Terraria was an awesome time that I played with Casey too, but I don't know. For some reason, Monster Hunter sticks out in my mind more than Terraria. I don't know why.
Well, because I think your experience with it when you came over during the Wii time was especially formative.
Yeah, that was amazing. Whenever I came
You just
over,
played that motherfucker like all time that you were there.
yeah, it was amazing. Anyways, so yeah, Monster Hunter. It was awesome because I played with Casey. It took us forever to beat the thing. We had like our defined roles. Like I played
Yeah, we
Gun
did.
Lance, and you were playing Hunting Horn.
Oh shit, I was.
Yeah, you were. It was a lot of
Oh.
fun. And it was really challenging, and I don't know. I always look forward to it. A whole bunch of like memes developed in our friendship, like little sayings that we just say over and over and over again, and there's some really funny moments. I don't know. It was a great
Hey,
game.
that's my shtick.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, like I was saying, it's probably one of my favorite gaming experiences. And the Wii U would have been worth it in my eyes if I had just played Monster Hunter Tri with you. They would have been worth paying the money for it.
I will say, Monster Hunter Tri would never be on my Wii U because I played it. I don't believe in ports being in a top five.
Yeah.
But that said, my time with you on Monster Hunter Tri would definitely continue to add to why it would be so high on my Wii list.
Yeah, yeah. See
Although
what you're
it's
saying.
nice to know that apparently our college years meant nothing to you. It's really a great wake up call for me.
um, let me
Good
see if
old
I can
eye
remember.
opener.
I'm pretty sure college years. Oh yeah, was that? I guess that must have been during our master's times, like when you were in pharmacy school and I was in my master's when we played that.
Well, yes. I'm talking about I'm glad that our undergrad years were complete nothingness to you.
Like we saw each other occasionally, but we didn't play that much together. I don't think.
Well, no, but you came to visit a lot, and we would play like all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd come to visit like once every few months or something like that. And then when we played Monster Hunter, we were like hounding each other every single day.
That's very true. Yeah, yeah. Terraria too, but that's
Yeah, Terraria was good. I feel like Terraria was after Monster Hunter, but I could be
I
wrong.
don't I don't think it was, dude, because oh my god, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Anyways, but that completes our lists, Casey.
Okay. Hey, just as a closing sentiment, can I ask one more topic?
Okay, quickly.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
No, no, no. I'm just curious. Considering since we just did an entire like list of our favorite and least favorite Wii U games, and since the Wii U is nearing its end and the Switch is going to be the third coming of Christ and all that,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what your opinion is currently on some of the Switch games we know of. I wrote down a list of the important ones. I was just going to ask you what you think of them real quick.
Sure.
Okay, what do you think of 1-2 Switch?
1-2 Switch. I don't give a shit about. I'm gonna give about as much of a shit about it as what I imagine that I thought of Nintendo Land. Like there's some like little neat concepts in Nintendo Land, but playing it once for 10 minutes is fine for each of those for me, and it's not gonna be worth buying. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of bothered by 1-2 Switch's existence just because it feels like they're still trying to capture the lightning in the bottle of the Wii U.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean, of
trying
the
to get
Wii.
a Wii Sports again, but
Yeah, and but it just feels like that's exactly what they tried to do with the Wii U,
yep.
and it failed miserably.
Yeah. If the game came out with the Switch, like it to me that game should just come with the Switch. It just exists on Switches, and if you want to play it, fine.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
that
buy
would
the
be
game.
neat. Because no one's going to tell me that this game was expensive to make. It's 20 WarioWare style minigames.
Yup.
One thing I would like to point out that I find weird about 1-2 Switch, a lot of people have. So they made a comment during the trailer for 1-2 Switch where you actually had to look at each other to play rather than look at the TV. Do
Okay. Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And some people were like, that's not what a video game's about. And then other people defended that by saying like, yeah, but it's nice that video games can, you don't have to look at the TV to play them
Yeah.
and all that. And the thing that bothers me about that is like you could literally recreate what 1-2 Switch is offering without the video game and just having a timer.
Yeah. I guess.
Like,
Yeah. I don't even know. It.
well, I mean, all you would need to do is get a friend, stare at each other, have someone like press down on a timer, and then you both mime doing something, and whoever did it better or faster wins, and you just saved yourself $50.
Yeah. That's true. I guess the only thing that the game actually does is it, you know, tells you instead of having somebody else tell you who won. And like that there isn't cuz okay, in the commercials they give you like this cool interface and it looks cool when people are doing it, but it's going to look retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the ideal scenario for party games, but
Yeah, I mean, if it's funny because it's retarded, that's cool, but it like the okay, so the gun, there's a gimmick where you draw a
you
gun,
draw a gun.
yeah, and try and shoot each other, but like in the commercial you can make it look kind of cool, like mimic, the other person's gonna fall over dramatically, or they'll just insert guns in the place of the thing, but it's gonna be like these stupid controllers, and it'll be fun like to do it once or twice with people that don't play video games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be cool, but I just don't think it's gonna be.
I just don't think it's going to be worth the money. Like, I've been hearing that this thing will be like $50, and it's
Oh,
just
that's
like,
too
fuck
much
off.
money. Yeah.
Okay, next. What do you think of ARMS?
I think ARMS has the potential to be cool. You indicated to me that you think that it'll probably be one of those games that you don't play for a long time, and that could be true. I could see a way that they could make it have a little bit of depth where you like really learn how to like, not as much depth as real boxing or anything like that, but there'll be
Well,
certain mechanics that like people will obviously be better at and stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah.
I could see it becoming like exploited. Like there might be certain strategies that just win somehow. Um,
Yeah.
but I'll probably get it and I'll probably play it just to
Really?
try it
Jesus.
out. I mean, if I get the Switch and it's at a reasonable price.
Yeah. So, would you pay 60 for
No, absolutely not. That would be a $20 game for me.
it? There we go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Well, just like once again, like that kind of game scares me because it's Wii boxing. Like, it's just trying to capture the magic of like the Wii again with this kind of like one simple concept that can be used with the motion controls.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll admit that it looks like it certainly has more depth than Wii boxing, but it doesn't change the fact that it's going to be like Wii boxing, and I'm going to get tired of it after like 3 neat rounds.
Yeah, I guess one issue is that you can't really aim that effectively, I don't think, with the way that the gyroscopic controls work.
Yeah.
That's one thing. If you don't have a lot of control of the aim, then I think a lot of the depth just falls.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't, I can't, say for sure because I haven't done it and I haven't interfaced with the thing. But that's one thing that I think it could be a downfall of the thing if you don't have that much control over the input.
Well, and no disrespect to the Switch, but I don't think that it's going to be like perfect 100% of the time motion controls. And until that's developed, where the motion controls will never fail you, it's just going to continue to be slight bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, okay, Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 2, I'm excited for. Lobby system, we can play together more easily. I think that'll be perfect. I can't wait. I mean, like, they added so much content to Splatoon 1 that I'm afraid that it might have too much content in
Well,
Splatoon 2. But I don't know.
Well, and this is what I was hinting toward earlier when we were talking about Splatoon, and I said I'd have something I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get Splatoon 2, to be honest with you.
Really?
Like, it's been, because Splatoon 1 kept drip feeding content, it doesn't feel like it's been that long ago since I last played Splatoon 1 and got bored of it.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of like, yeah, I'm good. I think I've had my fill of this for like another year or two.
Yeah, I'd play it, but I'd play it with you. I wouldn't try and. I mean, I might do the single player content if there's a
You
reason
know it won't
to.
be worth that.
Yeah, I probably won't do the single player content unless there's like a good, legit reason, gameplay wise, in the multiplayer to do it.
Yeah.
To me, that would be like doing Call of Duty single player. Like, I
Oh, yeah,
would never
God.
do that.
I just wish that I can't shake it in my head that Splatoon 2 feels more like just an expanded Splatoon 1 rather than a bona fide sequel.
Yeah,
And I
and
don't know
it
what.
probably is. It's probably force fed because they just need intro content to the Switch.
Yeah, well, and I'll admit I don't know what you could do to make what feels like a bona fide sequel to Splatoon, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, I I agree that it doesn't feel like it's been enough time since the game to actually warrant a new game, but I can see the position that Nintendo's in, and it makes sense that they would do it. And I think that it's a good move for them. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
not a
it
good
totally
move
makes
for
sense
us.
for them.
Yeah,
I was just talking about like for us personally.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of personally, Mario Kart DX 8.
Yeah, like I was mentioning I'm glad that people will get to play that game. I'm not buying it again.
No,
Uh,
it's honestly like, yeah, good for people to play it again, but like seriously, you couldn't you couldn't add some tracks to it?
yeah, to me, I would have been so happy if they said Mario Kart 9 and they just pretty much took Mario Kart 8, just all new tracks, some new characters. I would have been like, I'm okay. This is perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, me too. I think if there was even half the number of tracks or new tracks that Mario Kart 8 had,
Yeah.
maybe even a quarter, I would have been more okay with it.
Yeah.
But it's bizarre to me that they're not that they're it just feels kind of lazy to me, and that worries me a bit.
Yeah, yeah. I can kind of see where they're coming from just because it's such a big system seller.
Yeah,
Um,
and realistically, since a lot of people didn't play it,
yeah,
the first one, it's not like they have to make a new one.
yeah, that's true. But it isn't ideal for their like hardcore base.
Yeah,
But
Mario Odyssey.
I'm actually very, very positively looking forward to this game. I've said for years, and so many other people have said for years, that we just want to see a return to form with the open-ish 3D Mario's like 64 and Sunshine.
Yeah,
That like I'm super excited about it. I thought that the art style was weird. I didn't like the city. Um, and I didn't really care for the way that the humans looked and the way that Mario looked. But it seems like that's just a level, so that's
yeah.
fine that it's just a level. Um, I don't know. I think it's gonna be awesome.
The thing that worries me, and I hate that. I mean, I guess between the two of us, it's been established already that I'm the more harsh toward a lot of new things.
Yeah,
The thing that worries me about Mario Odyssey, and you're right, it is nice to see a more return to form, if you will, open world 3D Mario game.
yeah,
I fear that Odyssey might be going a little too far into the open world. Like, and I'll fully admit that I can only go off of what the trailer showed me, and I do think that it was a very bad trailer they showed.
okay,
But to me, everything that they showed seemed empty. Like all the levels that they showed seemed like largely just barren lands for Mario to run around in. And yeah, sure, I certainly believe that the game will have more content in the end. But and the one thing that sticks out in my head is the scene where Mario jumps on a sphinx-like creature to run through the desert.
okay,
You look at that scene, there's not a lot to do in that desert. Like you're using the sphinx creature to travel through emptiness, from what it looks like.
hmm,
And I just worry because Mario 64 was brilliant because yeah, it was open, but it was also condensed. Like there wasn't a lot of dead space to wander around in. There was
yeah,
always like something to do or to work toward. I just worry that Odyssey is going to be like a lot of modern sandbox games where yeah, there's a big openness to explore, but there's kind of not a lot to do in the openness.
yeah. That is a problem with a lot of open world games that it's just too shallow because it's so large. I hope that they don't make that mistake, and I hope that the levels aren't too big. I think that, Mario 64, maybe slightly bigger than Mario 64, would be appropriate. Um,
Wait,
and one
what?
thing that I didn't like is, okay, so what I do like about Mario 64 is that the hub world's pretty interesting and there's some secrets in it. The same thing
Yeah,
applies for Sunshine.
yeah.
It seems to me like there isn't going to be that hub world or whatever. It seems to me like you're going to be on that cap flying vehicle or whatever.
Oh,
Uh,
the magic hat bus.
yeah. Which, I mean, it might be fine and it's probably a small point in the grand scheme of things, but I would have just liked to see another hub world.
Yeah, me too. Some people have theorized that the New York thing is going to be the hub world.
Maybe. It seemed to me like that was a level, but who knows?
Yeah, and that's the other thing that worries me. I said this before. A lot of that trailer is just Mario fucking about. It's not actually him doing anything cool,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah. They'll probably announce some or like show some more stuff off
Yeah, I'm sure. But
soon.
just I was just curious where your thoughts are on it at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more to go. Xenoblade 2.
I'm super excited. I hope it's not open world. I hope they do some meaningful side quests. I hope that they hire somebody that can write a damn story.
That's
I hope that there's some good voice acting.
yeah,
The art style I didn't really care for as much as the other 2 games. It seemed like a little bit more cel shaded or something like that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, they didn't show off much for me to say anything about. Like, I remember when they announced Xenoblade X and they showed, like, the open
That
world
fucking
stuff.
trailer with that worm and that.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
That was so
God.
epic, and we were so hyped for it.
We couldn't stop talking about that.
Yep. So that same thing didn't happen for Xenoblade 2, but that might just mean that it's a better game.
Yeah. I'm curious about the writing, because there's like only one line of dialogue in that trailer, but it was the most anime dialogue line I'd heard in a
I
while.
don't even remember what it was.
It was just like something about like realizing the value of people.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh no, that was cringeworthy.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, you're right.
I
Not
mean,
much
there
to
were
do.
some cringeworthy lines that were delivered in Xenoblade 1, but
True.
uh, yeah, I hope that they get the big picture stuff for the story, and I hope that there's some like edginess to it, and I hope that there's some characters that aren't one dimensional. I need some round characters, and I need some character development in my RPGs.
Yeah. Also, maybe a little bit more refined gameplay, because like with the Mario trailer, they kind of didn't show anything meaningful happening.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, I was going to ask about Shin Megami Tensei, but frankly, fuck it.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, I'm really excited for it. I've tried to not look at it lately because they've been showing off like more and more like extended gameplay
Yeah, they have.
for a whole bunch of people, and I just haven't been looking at it. I'm excited for what they can do, if like the possibilities of how they can fill out an open world with the Zelda gameplay style. I'm hopeful. I hope that it's not just emptiness. It could very well be. And one thing that I liked a lot about what they announced about it is that there's like hundreds of like little mini dungeons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those I think will be solid probably. And I hope that there are like meaningful things to find in the open world, like secrets that you can find. I hope it's not all like arrows and shit, and you're like, damn, I've gotten enough arrows. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I'm cautiously semi-optimistic. I think it's the same problem that with Xenoblade Chronicles X, where I've known about this game for far too long, where I'm just kind of like, just show the damn thing already.
Yeah, that's true. They have been overhyping it a
This
little
this
bit.
game has been, I think, about maybe 3 to 4 years in the making now.
Yeah, it was a few years ago at E3 when they had Shigeru Miyamoto with with
Aonuma.
oh, okay, yeah, and they did that gameplay
Yeah,
where
yeah.
I think they jump off the mountain and like glide. Is that something?
Yes.
That was
Though
cool.
that was not the intro. That wasn't like the reveal of it.
Okay.
I think the reveal was a year before that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna play it for the Wii U.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right, do your little outro thing.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to episode 4 of the Top 5 Gaming Podcast. Let us know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe if you want to hear some more. Thank you for listening.
Toodles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.